If you've ever caught weird looks from people because you like the snow and most other people don't, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We are back to kick off a new week. Today is going to be the Monday, December 8th edition as we march closer towards the Christmas holiday. Big week coming up with the Fed here today. So we've got some news from over the weekend that we're going to go through. We're going to kick the week off the right way. We got the market about flat, slightly in the green here. So all signs pointing to it being all right here today. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for December 8th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend, despite the football game yesterday. I did as well. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. We've got another big week to kick off here as we get closer towards the end of 2025. Peter is first here today. Good morning, Peter. Peter's out in Mountain Time, out here beating people. I absolutely love it. Welcome back, Peter. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Will, welcome. New to this. Any tips on who to follow? Yeah, this show. Follow this show. We will help you with that. No spamming, though. We do not tolerate spamming over and over here, and we do not give financial advice. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. EKS, good morning. Welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Jane, it's good to see you. Jay Harris, good morning. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. Kevin, it's good to see you. Edro, good morning. Whis, good morning. H&H Tactical, good morning. Brandy, great to see you. Welcome back. Austin, good morning. Austin, I think I responded to your email here this morning. We should be able to meet up this week. Yes, Mid, good morning. Welcome back. G-Cord, good morning. Jonathan, good morning. Kelly, welcome back. James, welcome back. Empyrean, what's going on, brother? Good to see you again. Day Trader, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Za, good morning. Free Diddy tomorrow, good morning. Maverick, good to see you again. Work Life, good morning. Bill, good morning. Welcome back. Kimosabi, good morning. Indeed, it is a good morning. Ed, good morning. Good to see you again. Navy Dave, good morning, Navy Dave. Welcome back. Big Bear Hug, it's great to see you again. Rooster, likewise. Good morning. Does 13 have a monetary investment in the Green Bay Packers? Not that I know of. He's just a fan. I'll tell you what, that was a great game, though, and I actually was feeling real good right towards the end. Disappointing way to end it, but we see him again in 2 weeks, and I feel good about that one, too. Uncle Dracula checking in from Transylvania. Let's go. Good morning. Easy Media, good morning. Catherine, it's good to see you again. And Archangel, good morning. All right, folks, we are off. Let's go ahead and start with the stock market today. All right, S&P futures in the green here this morning, up 0.14%. Dow futures exactly at flat, and the NASDAQ up 0.28%. So right near flat, but still slightly in the green here today. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from the last session. Communication services and information technology stocks closed higher, contrasting with utilities, healthcare, and energy stocks, which recorded the biggest losses on Friday. President Trump's administration plans to unveil a long-awaited $12 billion financial rescue package on Monday aimed at U.S. farmers struggling under the combined weight of low market prices and the impacts of tariffs. Investors await a crucial decision from the Federal Reserve later this week, along with earnings reports for Oracle, Broadcom, Adobe, and Campbell's. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.16%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.58%. Now, we do have several stocks in focus here today, and the number one stock comes from news that we got after the close on Friday. That's going to be Carvana. ticker CVNA, and it jumped 8.81% following its inclusion to the S&P 500 index on Friday. So we do expect Carvana to get bought over the next several weeks, as now it's part of the S&P. We'll see how Carvana trades today. Obviously, it's gapping up here in the morning. We'll see how it trades the rest of the session and then where it closes. But that's our first stock in focus here to kick off the new week. The next stock on the list is Confluent. This is ticker CFLT. That gained 31.59% on the reports that IBM, ticker IBM, was close to acquiring the data software company for $11 billion. So we'll have to keep an eye there on Confluent. Toll Brothers, ticker TOL, was 0.55% higher as analysts expect it to report quarterly earnings of $4.89 per share on revenue of $3.3 billion after the closing bell. The next stock on our list is Farisa, that's ticker PHR. That was up 1.95% as it's scheduled to report earnings after the closing bell. Analysts expect earnings of 2 cents per share on revenue of $120.05 million. The next stock and last stock on our list here today is going to be Compass Minerals International, ticker CMP. It was unchanged as analysts expect it to report a loss of 23 cents per share on revenue of $223.5 million after the closing bell. All right, let's go back. Let's get our SPY chart here. We still have some trouble with the SPY chart, but all we really need are the recent days here, and we've still got that. So we talked last week about the SPY really breaking above the trend line and a bunch of the different moving average lines, which are not being calculated correctly here. We are still seeing the slow drift up. Now, the big key for today is going to be the intraday high from Friday. I have that value at 688.39. So if we take a peek inside and I reset this chart view, this is what we're looking at. Here's the action on Friday, albeit on light volume. This morning in the pre-market, we are trading towards the highs. It does look like we're trying to break out of the 687-ish range, but the big note, or the big spot of note, I should say, is going to be this intraday high from Friday. If we can break above that and perhaps close above that, perhaps we can set some bullish momentum going into the Fed meeting and all of that. But this is kind of what I'm looking at here. Otherwise, to the downside, I am looking at 685. We talked a lot about 684 and 685 last week. We finally were able to move above that level. We were finally able to get a close above that level. That's great. On Friday, we did kind of back test 685. We peaked beneath it twice, but we did manage to hold above it. I would like to see us hold above that level today, both 685 and obviously 684 as well. So this is kind of what we're looking at on the SPY. You can see we traded back above the trend line. We back tested the trend line. And instead of making a big pop higher, we just kind of drifted higher here. We've talked about the overall bullish mentality going into December and then carrying through the rest of December. So far, so good, albeit only December 8th here. Now, let's go take a look at some more insights from analysts. Mohamed El-Arian sees a U.S. economy defined by a contrast between robust consumer behavior and a deteriorating labor market. Well, he notes in his Substack post that U.S. stocks are performing well, knocking on the door of all-time highs, and that consumer sentiment and corporate earnings remain strong. He warns that the labor market is flashing yellow. He points to data showing weakening labor demand and rising wage insecurity as significant concerns beneath the market's placid surface. Going forward, El-Arian views the Federal Reserve's policy path as a primary driver, specifically regarding how rather than what of interest rate decisions. While a 25 basis point cut in December appears to be priced in, he expects the market to scrutinize the decision for signs of a hawkish cut or internal dissent. He observes that investors are already turning cautious about future easing, assigning low probability to intermediate follow-up cut in January. Now, pausing right there, this to me makes sense, right? It does seem like we're going to get this cut here in December. If you take a look at the Fed CME watch tool, it's just at about 90%. Sure feels like that. Again, I think he's hitting it right on the head here. what's going to be paid the most attention to from this meeting are going to be what does the rate cutting cycle look like in the future? We're already seeing small caps like IWM and other individual names respond positively to the rate cutting environment that we're in. But if we get any more clarity on future rate cuts and the schedule of such cuts, that should really determine how the market takes that. Totally possible that we get kind of a hawkish view and not really sure when we're going to get the next cut. There are several folks that were hypothesizing, and I think there can be a case to be made for this as well. There are several folks hypothesizing that we might not see another cut until Powell gives up his seat, which is scheduled to happen in May. If that's the case, we won't see cuts till the back half of the year. I believe this is what we saw the last time when we were actually making some of those cuts as well. So I do think we're going to get one here in December. The market seems to be pricing that in. If you take a look at small caps, they seem to be responding to that. The big next step here, what does the future hold for those rate cuts? Ultimately, L. Arian anticipates a shift away from coordinated global policy towards greater dispersion, creating a complex environment where the Fed must balance its dual mandate with financial stability goals. All right, let's take a look at Meta here. Let's see how the Meta chart looks like here today. I'm going to start with the chart, then we'll dive into some of the news. So Meta recently, pretty big pullback here for Meta, and I'm not sure if we're going to take out these new all-time highs. I would like to get the opinion of anyone here that trades a lot of the tech names back and forth. I know Meta is a popular one. So it does look like we bounced off of the 500-day. We actually never tested it to the point. We got down near it. When we reclaimed the 20-day, we actually had some pretty good action. We reclaimed it, we consolidated, and then we took the next leg higher. That leg took us over a downtrend, which we were able to close above, and it looks like we're battling now with the 50 and the 200-day. Now, this is important because the 50-day here is flashing as if it's going to make a death cross in the next couple of days. We'll see if the price is able to stop that from happening. The one thing to note about the death cross, as we've discussed before, when it oscillates back and forth frequently, it has less and less impact. If we look back here at Meta, the last time it crossed, we actually got a golden cross here in June of 2025. You can see that it did trade up a little bit. It gapped up. I believe this was on an earnings report, but it gapped up a little bit, and now it's kind of rolled over. Prior to this golden cross, we actually had a death cross a month earlier. So not really a whole lot of behavior after the golden cross here. And part of me wonders if we've just crossed too soon to really kind of make too much of this death cross. Nonetheless, Meta's been performing well recently. Again, above the trend line. We'll see if we can get a close above both that 200 and that 50-day moving average. Now, Meta is buying. You'll soon wear AI all day with this new buy. Meta acquired Limitless to accelerate its push into artificial intelligence-powered wearable technology as part of its broader strategy to bring personal superintelligence to consumers. The financial terms of the transaction remain undisclosed. The deal strengthens Meta's ability to advance always-on AI hardware by combining Limitless experience in AI-first devices with Meta's scale in customer platforms and infrastructure. Meta pursued the acquisition to deepen its internal capabilities at the intersection of AI and hardware, an area that it views as critical to the next generation of computing. Now, I know we've talked a lot about some of the wearable glasses that Meta has. I know we're seeing advertisements for the new, what look like M Sport glasses that have AI in them. I've actually never seen those in the wild or talked to anyone that uses those, but the Meta Ray-Bans, very, very popular, and everyone that I know that owns a pair of those swear by them, really like them. I'd like to know if any of you have experience with any Meta wearables or any thoughts on how Meta can make those wearables better. I'd like to have that discussion with you. Following the acquisition, Meta will wind down commercial sales of the Limitless pendant while continuing to support existing customers for at least 1 year. Meta eliminated subscription fees for current users and granted access to premium features at no cost as it transitions the product away from standalone commercialization. Meta will sunset non-core software features, including Rewind, and adjust regional availability as it integrates the technology into its long-term product roadmap. The company added new in-app tools that allow users to export or delete their data, and it committed to maintaining data protection standards throughout the transition. This is one thing that, with wearables, I totally get it. If it looks like what's going to happen to the Vision Pro if Apple starts pulling support or pulling app development? Sometimes bleeding edge on some of these wearable technologies ends up not being all that great. Now with the watch, I think that that's around to stay, and I would imagine the glasses are too. What I'd like to understand from the group are what features from wearables, whether they're glasses, watches, or otherwise, would really make that product more beneficial for you. I know I've joked a lot about glasses that are able to let me read a green and track golf shots and all of that. That's one aspect of it. But I'm open to others with wearables. Obviously, I use a wearable watch to track exercise and all of that. I'd be curious to get from the group where wearables really hit for you. What part of your life would wearables really benefit? Okay. Meta gained over 15% year to date, which lagging the NASDAQ Composites Index returns of 22%. Last week, Meta shared plans to cut up to 30% of its 2026 metaverse budget, with most reductions aimed at Quest and Horizon Worlds. Meta also shifted its wearable strategy by delaying its Phoenix mixed reality glasses to early 2027, giving teams more time to deliver higher quality AI-driven smart glasses while prioritizing polished hardware and reliable user experiences. JP Morgan's Doug Anmuth and Bank of America Securities' Justin Post said Meta's plan to cut its 2026 metaverse budget signals stronger cost discipline. Anmuth estimated up to $5 billion in savings, and Post projected $6 to $6.5 billion in potential savings that could help support EPS growth as Meta shifts more resources towards AI and data center investments. Meta held $44.45 billion in cash and cash equivalents as of September 2025. Brian says, I'm more weirded out by the fact that strangers are just walking around recording me. Yeah, not thrilled about that either, but generally don't behave like a moron in public, so perhaps it's not that big of a deal. All right, another story here regarding LUV. Southwest Airlines gets an $11 million fine waiver by the Trump administration over the 2022 holiday travel crisis. Trump administration has decided to waive an $11 million fine that was levied on Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV, in connection with a holiday travel crisis in 2022. The fine was part of a $140 million settlement following a major operational disruption at Southwest Airlines in December of 2022 under the Biden administration. The airline had agreed to pay a $35 million cash penalty to the U.S. Treasury in 3 installments, 2 payments of $12 million each and a final payment of $11 million, and issuing $90 million in travel vouchers over 3 years to passengers affected by major delays or cancellations caused by the airline. The U.S. Department of Transportation on Friday has opted to cancel the remaining $11 million in Southwest fine, originally due by the end of January in 2026. The decision was attributed to Southwest's significant investment of more than $1 billion in its operations since the 2022 service meltdown. The U.S. Department of Transportation noted that the measure promotes the public interest by incentivizing airlines to improve their operations and resilience, ultimately benefiting consumers. The department also stated that Southwest has invested over $112.4 million solely in its NOC, concentrating on gate optimization, advanced flight planning tools, and a modernized movement control system, and optimizers designed to enhance aircraft and crew network recovery. This move by the Trump administration comes at a crucial time for Southwest Airlines. The carrier recently revised its 2025 profit outlook, citing a decline in demand and an increase in fuel costs due to the U.S. government shutdown. This led to a downward revision of its full-year earnings before interest and taxes, excluding special items, to approximately $500 million. However, the airline had surprised the market with a profit in the third quarter of 2025, reporting adjusted earnings of 11 cents per share, which exceeded the street consensus estimate of a loss of 3 cents per share. The company also expected this momentum to continue into the fourth quarter. Now, if we go back to the chart here and take a look at LUV, I know the airline's not the best trades here, but this is what the LUV chart looks like. And the reason that I chose this story is because it does look like this chart is bottoming here. And it actually looks like LUV really wants to try and trade back up, maybe towards that 40, and then eventually after the 40, perhaps the 50 handle. You'll notice that this low that we've really kind of held here, about $24, I would say is your average. This goes all the way back to COVID. And if LUV can kind of curl off of this level, perhaps we can get back towards some of those highs up near $60. Chart actually looking pretty good and looks like it wants to continue to try and trade a little bit higher here. So we'll see if we get that from Southwest Airlines. Now, I do want to talk about, let's see, how much time do we have? Oh, we're cruising on time here. Okay, I got another story here regarding, I guess this is connected to Apple. China phone makers smell an opportunity as Apple stumbles on AI. Now, Apple stumbles on AI are something that we have covered quite a bit here. Apple continues to promise that we're going to have something great, but it sounds like the market is just not really believing that, or at least saying, show me, before they believe that. Chinese smartphone makers are actively pushing apps that let users switch from the iPhone as they race to gain market share, while Apple struggles to roll out artificial intelligence features in the world's largest smartphone market. China's top 5 domestic phone brands now promote tools that simplify moving data from Apple's iOS or allow their devices to work alongside Apple products. These campaigns gained momentum as China's internet regulator delayed approval of Apple's planned AI feature rollout due to geopolitical tensions with the US. Now, the reason I think this is important is because one of the things that obviously keeps Apple afloat is its ecosystem. It is incredibly sticky. And if you've ever talked to anybody who's tried to move away from the Apple ecosystem to something like Android or otherwise, there's often met with roadblocks where you can't get the data, you can't easily transfer the data, you can't keep things, the whole 9 yards. Looks like China's trying to facilitate that to make it even easier. We'll see what kind of impact this has. According to Lucas Zhang of Omdia, Chinese vendors are moving faster and more openly on AI, and their strategies are increasing competitive pressures on Apple in China. Even if conversions take time, and that was reported by the Financial Times. China's smartphone market remains highly competitive, with no brand holding more than 20% share. Vivo led the market with an 18.5% share in the third quarter, while Apple, Honor, Oppo, and Xiaomi and Huawei each held between 13.6 and 16.4, and that is according to Counterpoint Research. Domestic brands now believe AI-powered features and hardware innovations like foldables make their phones compelling alternatives to Apple. Oppo's AI assistant can track spending from screenshots and provide real-time gym guidance through the camera. Brian, how do you feel about people using AI tools that require the camera to be on while you're in the gym? Let me know how that sits with you. Honor's devices help users find discounts, book rides faster, and create short videos. Honor recently upgraded its device clone app to let users transfer photos, messages, and contacts from iPhones via a QR code. Its Honor Connect app enables file sharing with iOS devices similar to AirDrop. AirDrop, of all of the things that Apple has that is supposed to make Apple special, the one thing I will say that's done very, very well is AirDrop. This to me just seems like everyone should have a feature that works as easily, as fast, and as well as AirDrop. That's just kind of an aside. That's the one thing I think that when I sit down and seriously talk with Apple users about the phone, the experience, and everything else, AirDrop is the one thing that is definitely very, very easy, very, very clean, and just works very well. I know Google phones can now AirDrop to iPhones. The other thing with Android is that you can log into your Apple account via the web and use it that way. It's not as streamlined. It's still a little bit clunky, and there's a gap to close there. But I digress. Honor executives Zhengdong Li said 37% of online buyers of Honor's Magic 5 V5 flagships switched from Apple using these tools. Xiaomi has promoted features such as file transfer, screen sharing, and notification syncing with iPhones. Oppo's latest operating ecosystem lets users handle calls, texts, and notifications from Apple devices directly on Oppo phones. Meanwhile, Apple strengthens its position in China's luxury smartphone market in October by lifting iPhone shipments and expanding its share of total sales. The Chinese smartphone market grew 8% year over year, with Apple leading the momentum alongside domestic brands. Apple captured roughly 1 in every 4 smartphone sales, while iPhone shipments jumped 37% on strong demand for the iPhone lineup. We reported that when we first got that data. All 3 iPhone 17 models delivered mid to high double-digit growth, led by the base version, and new models made up more than 80% of Apple's unit sales, according to the Counterpoint analyst Ivan Lam. Rising average selling prices are also positioning Apple for a potential record December quarter. I know we're all kind of waiting for that. At least I am, as an Apple long-term stockholder. Xiaomi climbed to the 2 spot for the first time in more than a decade, supported by the early launch of the Xiaomi 17 series and broad product lineup. Do you think there's any coincidence that the iPhone 17 and Xiaomi 17 are out at the same time? I'll let you folks discuss that. Oppo drove domestic brand growth through strong demand for its Fine X9 and Reno 14 models. And despite Huawei's Mate 80 launch in late November, Apple continues to show strong momentum. Apple's share of 1 in every 4 smartphone sales matches its previous peak reached in 2022, even as Chinese brands steadily expand their market presence. So Apple's ecosystem, the sticky Apple ecosystem, which is one of the things that I think keeps users in their ecosystem more so than their lack of AI tools, for example. Will this make a difference? A day trader here said, I got out of Apple's ecosystem this year. Day trader, can you add some color to that for me? First of all, just from where I sit, it does seem like you're more technologically inclined than the average smartphone user. I hope that's fair. And I would like to know, was it a struggle for you? Was it frustrating? Were there periods or specific things in order to remove yourself from that ecosystem that were harder than others? And do you think that your experience is scalable amongst people with varying technological backgrounds? I know there's a lot there, but I'm just curious on how you see that going forward. One more thing here tied to AI, and this is something that we've kind of discussed a little bit. I know there's been some chatter about this. But an interesting thing here, I actually think I saw Blazed Rhino earlier here with a comment saying Chat GPT rots the brain. Teaching our models to chase dopamine instead of truth, the Surge AI CEO slams big AI for prioritizing flash over medical and scientific breakthroughs. Blazed Rhino, I'd love to get your opinion on this. Surge AI CEO Edwin Chen warned that major AI companies are prioritizing flashy, addictive chatbot behavior over meaningful scientific breakthroughs that could solve humanity's biggest problems. Speaking on the Lenny's podcast published on Sunday, Chen said the industry is building AI systems optimized for attention rather than truth. Quote, I'm worried that instead of building AI that will actually advance us as a species, like curing cancer, solving poverty, and understanding universal, all of these big grand questions, we are optimizing for AI slop instead, end quote. AI slop. I might reuse that term. That's a good one. That encompasses a lot of some of the, let's just call it nonsense that's out there. And I'm not trying to criticize AI. I use it myself, but a lot of it is not all that great. Chen pointed to public voting-based leaderboards, such as LM Arena, arguing that they reward shallow, flashy responses rather than carefully verified answers. Quote, "They're not carefully reading or fact-checking," Chen said. "They're skimming these responses for 2 seconds and picking whatever looks flashiest," end quote. He added, "We're basically teaching our models to chase dopamine instead of truth," noting that sales teams feel pressure to cite leaderboard rankings during client meetings. Other tech leaders have raised similar alarms. ZeroPath CEO Dean Valentine said recent AI updates feel more entertaining than economically useful, despite claims for major improvements. Earlier this month, industry leaders and lawmakers warned that rapidly advancing artificial intelligence was beginning to make decisions for users and could soon act as autonomous agents. Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai said AI was advancing quickly and could take on executive level tasks and would both eliminate and transform jobs. While some executives said AI had not yet replaced workers, others predicted widespread job losses. That's something that's been going on for some time. Senator Bernie Sanders warned that AI and robotics could become dangerous if they mainly benefited big tech companies and the ultra wealthy rather than improving human life. He's using the same playbook he's used for the last 800 years. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella cautioned that expanding AI data centers were straining power grids and said that the industry needed public trust by delivering broad economic benefits. This has a tie into the energy angle as well. I know we've talked a lot about some of the nuclear energy names, what's going to be required to run electrification of the grid or for like EVs as well as data centers and all of that. He also warned that AI gains should not be concentrated among a few companies. So I'd love to just, Rhino especially, I'd love to get your opinion on this. I did see the study. I feel like the study was a while ago. It was perhaps over the summer, maybe the end of the spring, saying that those that relied on ChatGPT were actually less able to complete tasks without the GPT tool, which I just find amazing. I find it. I can't even imagine like writing a paper or doing schoolwork. I can't even imagine what it's like doing it with AI now. And how much you absolutely would not learn the material if you're just plugging in prompts into a chat bot and having it spit out an answer. Okay, really quickly here, just some follow-up questions from the group. This is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Regarding switching from the Apple AI ecosystem and how difficult it was, let me bring up Apple's chart while we have this discussion. Chart actually looks really good, by the way, just saying. Yes, it was not easy to get out. Apple makes things very easy in their ecosystem. I acknowledge some things are better on iOS than Android. Goes on to say, I was using Google Docs, Sheets, and Drives and Dropbox before, so storage-wise, it was easy to move. I had switched to YouTube Premium before. Cutting Apple Music was easy. Okay, so it looks like there are parts of that that are easier than others. And I guess that's good information because I'm someone that's never really used Apple Music at all. I've always been kind of a Spotify, YouTube person. So that makes a lot of sense there. And I too admit that there are some things that are definitely easier to do on iOS than Android. And there's a market for that, right? Like I would not have my mother, for example, who absolutely needs her phone. I would not want her to try and switch from the Apple ecosystem. She can more easily get things done in iOS than she would in Android. But for someone like me who wants control and has no problem navigating different technological things, to me, it's an easy choice. I much prefer Android. But I appreciate you giving me the answer on that. Blazed Rhino, I'd asked you earlier, they did brain scans on people and found that used ChatGPT a lot, found a decrease in brain activity in certain areas. That's the study that I was referencing. I saw the same study that you did. I actually linked it in my work Slack there because I found it so fascinating. It's almost like watching TV, right? Like the way I compare that is that if you sit down to watch TV, your body enters a very passive state. You're just taking on what you're seeing. Even if you compare that to something like playing video games on the same TV in the same seat, your brain just behaves differently because you're interacting with that digital world, and it puts your entire body in a different state. It appears ChatGPT is doing the same thing, and I worry about some of that, Blaze Rhino. I worry about people becoming so accustomed to ChatGPT that they can't even complete simple tasks without it. And that even hits before we get into the fact that these GPT tools all make mistakes. And if you can't do research without it, how on earth are you going to fact check any of it? Tough stuff. Tyler says, I only use ChatGPT for a few specific things. For the most part, I try to stay away from it. I try to make sure that ChatGPT supplements things. Like when we joke about creating song lyrics about different stocks and stuff like that, I wouldn't be able to do that on my own. GPT is perfect for that. But if I was asking, hey, how do I best take care of my health, or for that of a family member or something like that, I wouldn't simply rely on the GPT tool. It might help me, but I wouldn't just simply rely on it. Okay. Human brains like to solve problems and do work. I totally agree with that. What do you think of SMX? I think it's crazy. And I think if you're trading it, just be very, very careful because you could get extremely hurt with that. All right, let me roll through the last news story here. It is about IBM. IBM reportedly nears an $11 billion deal to acquire Confluent. That's ticker CFLT. In a big push into real-time AI data. IBM is reportedly in advanced discussions to acquire data infrastructure company Confluent for approximately $11 billion. IBM is close to finalizing a deal to buy Confluent, a company that provides technology for managing real-time data systems used in large artificial intelligence models. That was reported by the Wall Street Journal yesterday. If completed, the acquisition would mark IBM's most significant recent deal as it continues restructuring in business around AI. The company has already strengthened its cloud and AI footprint last year by agreeing to buy cloud software provider HashiCorp for $6.4 billion. The demand for Confluent's services have surged due to the AI boom, with companies in various sectors such as retail, technology, and financial services seeking its capabilities. The potential acquisition of Confluent comes amid IBM's strong performance in the AI sector. In the third quarter of 2025, the company reported a 9% year-over-year increase in total revenue driven by robust AI-related demand. IBM stock also saw a significant rise in November of 2025 after the company announced several major technological advancements, including the unveiling of its most advanced quantum processor, the Quantum Nighthawk. This move is expected to further enhance IBM's AI capabilities. The report also comes amid a host of M&A activities in the technology sector this year, highlighted by Salesforce's $8 billion Informatica deal in May, and Palo Alto's $25 billion agreement to acquire CyberArk. So it does look like IBM making more additions and more M&A into the AI space. We'll see where they end up finishing. Okay, real quick here. I use Grok, so do I, Ken. Day Trader says, I use AI, Gemini, and ChatGPT to help me with trading. It's great with TA and interpreting indicators. So do you have it help you draw indicators on charts? Do you have it help you understand what the indicator is conveying? Let me know on all of that. All right. Mad Note says, remember when we used to know at least 5 to 10 phone numbers by heart? Yeah, actually I do. Man, that was a long time ago. You know what's crazy about that? I can't remember a single phone number now, it seems. Just absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Okay. One more story here to get through, and then we can go ahead and take a look at ticker time. We're getting pretty close. We'll do the movers and ticker time as well. This one, about Tesla's Optimus. And actually, you know what? We should probably go back and take a look at Tesla's chart. In fact, we'll do that. We'll look at Tesla's chart as soon as we roll through this. It's actually at kind of an interesting spot here, although it's down a little bit in the pre-market. Tesla's Optimus raises eyebrows after headset gesture shutdown. Jerry Rig Everything asks where Elon Musk will find enough teleoperators. Tesla's humanoid robot Optimus actions during an event in Miami have raised fresh questions about robots' autonomy. During Tesla's Autonomy Visualized event in Miami on Saturday, an Optimus robot can be seen standing behind the counter with bottles of water for the patrons of the event in a video that has surfaced on social media. For anyone that wants this, I'll go ahead and throw the story link in the chat. It's got links to all of the tweets that are tied to this. The video showcases the Optimus robot mimicking a gesture of taking off a headset, except the robot wasn't wearing any headset or headgear. The robot then falls to the ground, seemingly powered down. The incident has raised questions about the robots being teleoperated. YouTuber Jerry Rig Everything, which is just such a great name, such a great internet handle. YouTuber Jerry Rig Everything, aka Zach Nelson, took to social media platform X to express his views on the matter. To the moon, though, end quote. Nelson said after taking a swipe at CEO Elon Musk, who had predicted that the SpaceX's Starship rocket would carry Optimus robots to space. Nelson also took a jibe at Musk's target of setting up a $1 million unit production capacity for the Optimus robot at the Fremont, Carolina facility, questioning if the EV giant would be able to find enough teleoperators since the robotaxis still need an equal number of safety drivers. Nelson predicted that 2026 was going to be a tough year for the automaker. Again, all of his tweets here are linked within the story. The news comes as Tesla has recently showcased its robot running across the floor, demonstrating lifelike movements. The video comes as the robot had previously showcased martial arts movements alongside an expert. Interestingly, Musk had claimed that the robot wasn't teleoperated and that the movements were all AI. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but nonetheless, there you go. The robot was also showcased in a movie premiere in Los Angeles. Don't forget, they had an Optimus robot handing out Halloween candy at the end of October at CNBC headquarters. Becky Quick asked for multiple pieces of candy from the robot. Thankfully, she was all right. Musk had earlier also shared that the robot would represent 80% of Tesla's future value. Well, hopefully it doesn't power down and lay on the ground in the fetal position. That's no bueno. The CEO has also claimed that the robot would eradicate poverty, help Japan's labor shortages, as well as be an effective surgeon. Wonder if it can also repair automobiles. That'd be pretty cool. Elsewhere, investor Michael Burry of the Big Short fame has criticized Tesla's market cap, calling it ridiculously overvalued, as well as calling the EV giant and Musk supporters the Elon cult. The word cult is going to be thrown around quite a bit. We have not seen the end of that. Now, going to the Tesla chart, here's where we sit. The key thing of note here is that this 450 level that we have really been discussing, what is this, since the end of the summer? Yeah, really since we made this move back up in September, mid-September here, we've really kind of been discussing 450 as a target. And here we are jostling around that. I know we closed at 455 on Friday, so it's great. We closed above that level. Actually, it looked like Tesla might break out here. If we go to a weekly chart, you can get an idea of what this looks like. We're down a little bit here today, down 1.5%. This is actually bucking the trend for the NASDAQ. NASDAQ futures still up 0.27%. So Tesla, a little bit of relative weakness here and dipping back beneath that 450 level. Curious to know what the group thinks or how the group is thinking about trading Tesla. To me, it sure seems like unless we really break down, unless we get some really bad news here, the market holds together. Tesla making a move through that 450 towards 500 seems like that's probably the next move on deck. But I'd like to get the group's thoughts on that if you have any there on Tesla. Jonathan, good morning. It's great to see you. You had said, interesting, the VIX and markets were opposite on the morning pre-open. You know, we were talking about the VIX a lot last week. We're really looking for that $14 level on the VIX to represent the next area where we were going to bounce, or where the VIX was going to bounce. That might coincide with a sell-off. VIX here on Friday reached a low of 1528. Today, even despite some of the green arrows here in the pre-market, VIX up to a 16 handle again. So I think as long as we stay above 14, VIX is probably not at a spot where it's going to make a big pop. We'll see. We'll see how this all shakes out. Obviously, we've got the Federal Reserve meeting this week, so that could change the entire calculus, no doubt. CoinFox says Tesla target 530. Okay, so you're looking for a move above the recent all-time high towards 500 and then maybe 530 as the upside. Actually looks pretty good here. One of the other things that I'd like to add, let's maybe draw a trend line here and see what kind of target we can get for that. That puts 530 out into what? This puts it into mid 2026. I think we might actually see that a little bit sooner here. I'll leave that trend line on here. Potential target for Tesla. We'll see if we end up making any type of move toward them. Let me reset the chart here so it's a little bit easier to see. Now, as far as Tesla for today, though, I know we're a little bit weak here in the pre-market. If we look inside at the pre-market, you'll see we're really kind of holding this 447, 448 area. If I go back to the daily chart, there are some key levels on here. I'd be watching 435 if we really start to accelerate to the downside, but have no... don't actually think we're going to test 435 here today. We'll leave our game plan open and see what Tesla does. All right, folks, good stuff on the news rundown. Kind of light, but there were some interesting things that happened there over the weekend. Let's dive into some specific names here, whether they're names that you want to take a look at or just some of the names off of the movers list. And in order to do that, we're going to bring on Green Bay's number one fan, 13. All right, 13, now that you're here, let me have it. The group's for it. They want to see the bickering. They want to see the pot shots. Let me have it.
So that was a good game, wasn't it?
It was an amazing game, actually. It was an amazing game.
That was a great game. Regardless of who ended up winning, like there was a point in the second half of the game where I was just like, you know what? This has been such a great game. Yeah, both sides have made mistakes here and there, but you know what? It was really cold. You could tell that the players were feeling it. There was pieces of like frozen helmet flying off. You know, this was the kind of game that the NFC North needed.
That was an NFC North game from back in the old days. Here's the way that I'm looking at this. Number one, first of all, I think the Bears are a little bit ahead of schedule here. Bears have clearly been owned by the Packers for the last 30 years. It's just, there's no way around it. It is what it is. But I believe now, and after watching yesterday's game, I confirm this, the Bears are much more competitive. And that's why you saw such a good game. In my opinion, that was the game of the weekend. Yeah. Maybe it's my own bias there, but we see you again in 2 weeks. We'll do it again here in Chicago. I'm sure it'll be cold again, so we'll see if we get another excellent matchup.
And you still have to face the Lions, right?
Oh, we have to face the Lions in week 18. Yeah, we have to face that should be a good game. We'll see how the schedules all shake out there. But that could, depending on how these three teams play, the Bears, Lions, and Packers, that game may determine a playoff spot. So we'll see. We'll see where it is. But I'll be honest. It was still a really good game. Brian here saying the Packers defense. I'll be honest. I was really proud of how the Bears adjusted in the second half. And Micah Parsons was fairly a non-factor in that game. So I think the Bears actually did a pretty good job considering all of the talent on the Green Bay side. Okay, 13. I think I got off there easy. I will remember that in case the tables are ever turned. FYI, but I completely agree with you. It was really enjoyable.
And then we had the Texans just smash the Chiefs in the end of the day. Too.
I'm not trying to start fights with people here. I absolutely loved that game. Loved that game. Okay,
don't worry. Taylor Swift's boyfriend's gonna be just fine.
I wasn't worried. Okay, where do you want to start here today? Were there any individual names that you wanted to take a look at? Should we just dive right into the movers and the news that are affecting those movers here today? Where would you like to start?
Let's dive into those movers, and yes, we will get a rematch soon. I can't wait for that. It'll probably be a different outcome, but let's just wait and see.
Well, I think you know what, that part of me that would make it really interesting. Like if they split, if the Packers just sweep, then the Packers sweep, and it's like okay. If they split, I actually think that makes the end of the year even more interesting and a potential playoff matchup. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to what's going on here. All right. Where did you got me thinking about football again now. Where did you want to just go to the movers first here?
Yeah, let's do the movers first.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. First one here is going to be CETX. This is Semtrex. Now, this did make some rounds on Friday last week. We were about $3. We traded up to about $4. There was a trade in there. Cool. But the real action is happening here today in the pre-market. I know we drifted up a little bit in the after hours on Friday, but a super spike here on volume in the pre-market took us up to 20. We've already been cut in half. So in the last couple of hours here, stock's been cut in half down from those highs. Note the range, note what the stock can do, be careful, have a plan either way here. The most recent piece of news that I have on the stock came from Thursday, November 20th. So it would appear that this is moving on absolutely no news. Short interest as of our last reading, 12.88% of the float shorted with 1.68 days to cover. The average 100-day volume is 207,000 shares. Today, we've already done 40.3 million. And the float here, this is the theme that when you spoke last week about maybe crack trading here, which is a term that we've kind of borrowed from traders that have been around for a long time and seen this type of behavior around the holidays. This seems to be the real key data point here. What's the float? And here we go. Sub 1 million float. That's likely what's driving this. I'll go ahead and check know the float, but 13 in the meantime, what do you think here on ticker CETX?
Yeah, we're going to end up seeing a lot of this, I think, throughout the rest of the year. We have the time now where there's still not a lot of people at their desks trading. Fund managers aren't really hanging around because it's a holiday month. So you're going to see a lot of illiquidity in this market, and that's going to make for some illiquid moves. This is why we call it crack week, because a lot of times you're going to see these really, beaten down, low float names that have, nothing to do with anything right now. To suddenly come out of nowhere and rally, and it's because they're easy to push around and make for some illiquid trading, and that's what we're going to end up seeing here with some names, particularly today, CETX.
And really quick, 13. Here's what know the float shows. So FinViz has
zero.
Like I said about float, it's notoriously difficult to pin down, but FinViz has a very similar float to what we're reporting. Dilution Tracker has one that's much higher, and the Wall Street Journal and Yahoo say 0. So I still think this is going to be a low float one. Sorry to knock you off your progression there, but
it's going to be. This is just going to be the first of several. We saw this happen last week. It's going to happen this week, and it could happen more violently with the Fed meeting that we're having on Tuesday and Wednesday. So whatever ends up coming out of that rate decision may cause some market turmoil, one way or the other. It could. I mean, could go on a rally as a result of cut. We could sell off since we're trading up into this event. It could be a number of things that happen, but it's expected to be volatile. As far as CETX goes, no news on this one. Low float. I don't know what kind of cash they have anymore, because the last time that they were even talking about capital, they raised $7 million in promissory notes to acquire InnovaCon. So I don't know what kind of cash they have, and they aren't profitable. So at some point, they're going to have to finance another round, I think. So something to keep in mind. Companies does have revenue, but it doesn't make enough to turn a profit. We're still trading beneath the VWAP since we lost it in the pre-market here as initially support after we had the impulse move that took us up to 2055. Since it's come down, we bounced off the VWAP area once, and then we fell through it recently about 25 minutes ago. We are holding above the 65 EMA. So what we're going to want to see happen, if this is going to provide us with some trades, is we're going to want to see the 65 EMA hold up, and we need to see that VWAP be recaptured. You can tell that since we had that first VWAP bounce, tried to recapture the 13 handle, and even though we printed out above it several times, it could not start closing above it consistently. So I think if we do recapture the VWAP, $13 is going to be the next big resistance area.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on CETX. I got asked earlier thoughts on SMX, so I guess we might as well just kind of tie these two together in any way that we can. The low float moves are why you're seeing some of these extraordinary moves, not necessarily fundamentals or a good thing happening at the business, so on and so forth. So when you ask me, what do I think about this? I think that these are names that you absolutely need to be careful on. 13, I think you did a really good job breaking down the chart there. You can clearly see what the stock, I mean, just taking a look at SMX, this thing traded up towards like $491 on Friday. It's $239 today. Now, if you can buy this, if your broker allows you to buy this, there's substantial money to be made there. But I just want to caution folks, these things can change really, really quickly. And you can have what looks like a great trade on your hand, and in the flash of an eye, it can become a nightmare. So just know what it is that you're trading. In the case of SMX here and CETX, these look like they're just kind of being run or manipulated. And so just know what it is that you're trading. Use your risk management to keep you safe if you must trade one of those. But very, very clearly, as we always say here, a lot of these movers, these two in particular, not investments, or at least not at this.
And one more thing about CTMX, the CETMX, is that I keep putting M in there. CETX is that this seems like they're in part of a theme that we discussed recently with cameras and sensors. That type of technology, it seems like they're in that wheelhouse. So that's going to be that we're looking at as a potential theme for next year. So we might be getting some hints as to what might be running beginning of next year. Maybe we see some of those names like this one, where they're involved in a lot of surveillance and sensor technologies that can be used for drones and robots, components. Mm-hmm. So just it seems like they have some presence in that industry. So could be another reason why we're seeing this get attention today.
Okay. And that's another good point, right? Like traders will often look for themes, right? Okay, mm-hmm. You just did a really good job. Sensors, imagery devices, anything that would go in robots and things like that. That might be a theme here. Well, you can expect traders to go to the next possible thematic stock in that theme. Mm-hmm. The lower the float, the more the stock can be moved with a small group of people. And I think that's one of the things that you're seeing here. Ed says it's a trap. You know what that means. It's a trap. We're, of course, going to play the drop there of Admiral Akbar, friend of the show, by the way. Okay. Next here is going to be TGL. This is Treasure Global, excuse me. I think I saw several of you folks talking about Treasure Global earlier. This actually made a huge run on Friday and then a massive afternoon or after hours pop there. Looks like we had nothing here. It looks like this was just after hours trading shenanigans. In other words, I didn't see any catalyst specific to the Friday after hours session. Treasure Global. Why is it so hard for me to say this morning? Treasure Global raises full year 26 revenue target to $3 million, driven by Oxy Wallet, UNRA token, and Quarters Elites expansion. So we're getting news here today about a revenue outlook targeting 1,500% growth through fintech and digital asset expansion. Looks like they're going to target about $3 million. So stocks trading higher here. It's up $25. It's a double. It's up 100% right now. Again, I think would be very, very careful with this one. Short interest check on this name, 6.08% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average 100-day volume of about 500,000 shares. Today, we've done just shy of 1.5 million shares. The float reading I have on this one, much thicker than some of these lower, really low micro floats. But technically, at 11.71 million, this still meets the criteria for a lower float stock. So this too can be pushed around. 13, do you have any outlook here on ticker TGL, Treasure Global?
Looks like this might be, because you're pointing out the price action on Friday. So I think today, even though we did get some news, I think this could be more of a relative volume play because that was, gosh, what was that? The most volume in the company's history was on Friday, out of nowhere, and now it's trading at 10 times the price that it was on Thursday. Fantastic. So
looks like we had a couple of people here really quick. Izzy said, I killed it on Friday. Day trader, I traded TGL from 38 to 50 on Friday afternoon. So nice little move there. Good stuff for you guys on Friday afternoon. That's how you go into a weekend. I'm just saying, what was the reason for you to trade that? Just the movement? Was there something else in there? Let us know. Sorry, 13.
Okay. So the big impulse move that happened, what's going on here today? That we're going to get some more of this. And I think the answer to that is if we hold above, I would say 50. That looks like a good, I mean, maybe 50 and some change, but it looks like 50 is the one we're going to want to hold above, since every time we've come down to that handle, we've rebounded inside that 50 handle. Like it might be 50 and 60 cents or 50 and 30 cents, something like that. But it seems like every time we come down to the 50 handle, we're rebounding. Although I'm a little bit concerned about us, the price making lower highs as that's happening. So maybe this isn't one that we're going to want to try and pick up as we head into the regular session. Let's see what happens in the regular session in case there's a dump that takes us down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Otherwise, we're going to want to see a recapture of that VWAP. I mean, since we lost that, it hasn't been spending too much time above it on the impulse moves. And even if we do get above VWAP, it seems to me like 65 is going to be a big resistance area.
Okay, good breakdown there in TGL. Real quick, couple of things here. Izzy saying small float stocks are back. SMX started it. It's like the memes. Yes, this is exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about the whole crack trading thing.
Yep.
It does look like that's the case. The other thing that's going on here is that it looks as if the market is pricing in a rate cut. IWM pricing in some bullishness for small caps here. A lot of these stocks that we're talking about are indeed small cap stocks, these ones with low float especially. And so that's kind of a tailwind for it. But again, just know what it is you're trading. That's the best piece of advice I can give you on any of these. I can't tell you exactly how to enter this stock like day trader did at $38 and then sell at 50. What I can say though is just if you're going to trade something like this, big possible reward, but just understand what it looks like. I mean, just look at the SMX chart if you need to know what it looks like if you get that timing wrong. You get it right, kudos to you. We'll play you a register ring. Okay, next stock that I have here, WVE. This is Wave Life Sciences, and this is popping here on volume this morning, and lo and behold, we have a catalyst. WVE shares are trading higher after the company reported positive interim phase 1 data showing its obesity drug, WVE-007, delivered GLP-1-like fat loss in 3 months without muscle loss and was generally safe and well tolerated. So, first of all, kudos to our news desk team here at Benzinga for writing this Why Is It Moving, which is the reason why a stock is moving. This conveys all of the points for stocks that are in this sector, in my opinion. Number one, this is moving to the upside on a theme that has been a theme for a while here, the weight loss drugs, whether they're GLP-1s, 2s, or otherwise. It's moving on that news, but the reason that it's moving the way it is because it does not show muscle loss. That's one of the big things that taking GLP-1s do, is it causes you to lose all kinds of different weight. And then they also make you feel sick or unable to eat food. And this is saying here that the side effects are not as bad. They seem to be well tolerated and they don't lose muscle mass. So it is combining all of the information that we want about that. Stock is trading higher here by 70%. Let me see if there was anything else on here.
You got a hint basically yesterday that this would happen.
Yeah, so on Sunday when you couldn't do anything with it, right? Because on Sunday here, they're gonna. Go ahead.
You had to have the trigger ready. You had to be, just about on. You had to have your finger on the trigger, ready to go as soon as pre-market opened, because it seems like it didn't wait too long before we started moving here.
So they PR'd yesterday that they were getting ready to present the data, and then at 7:30 this morning they presented the data. So the pre-market was open for several hours here. Mm-hmm. I guess you could have taken the gamble on that, but this is a good spot there, 13, in terms of the news timing. Now, do you have anything about well, let me, sorry, I actually forgot the short interest on this name. 12.26% of the float shorted with 5.51 days to cover. That's definitely high short interest on WVE. And now that we have a positive catalyst behind it, that short interest might be extending the move that we're seeing here up about 75%. Average 100-day volume for this, 2.589 million, so just under 2.6 million shares. Today, we've done just shy of 20 million. Float on this is 125.5 million. So it's thicker than some of the other smaller float names, but making a move very similar to them. 13, what do you think here on ticker WVE?
Well, this is phase one, so they are going to have other phases. Maybe some sub phases like 2A or 2B, depending on what else they're going to test this alongside. This is just one of their clinical trial drugs that they've got going on right now. They also have RNA editing and splicing and selective silencing drugs that they're working on as well. They have 100% global rights to this with an addressable market of 175 million people. So this is another reason to like the drug, the obesity drug they're working on. But as far as the cash goes, they have little less than a year's worth of cash, and at some point they're going to have to raise capital again. Probably not going to happen soon. They have a lot of cash on hand. They could go on to their next clinical trials if they if everything's working out with WVE 007. But I think let's look at the technicals here with this one, because I think they're okay with the cash. I don't see them raising today, but they are going to have to raise at some point in the future. There might be one more impulse move up before we start leaking. 1454 is the current high right now, and we're trying to hold up here at this 1350 areas or in the $13 handle, so we can try and push back up there. But it's looking like it's about to roll over. So not sure which direction we're going to go quite yet here into the open. The MACD indicates that it's starting to weak, but we haven't got confirmation that we're certainly going to the downside. VWAP's going to be support, as is going to be the I would say the 1225 area. That's going to be support just before VWAP. If we do lose VWAP, then you have the $10 handle and the 65 EMA to the downside of support. But I think this is just going to be another one that I think I'll wait to see what happens as we approach the open. It might push up one more time, but I don't think I'd want to be in this right at the moment.
Just kind of looking at this morning's action, I would actually love for this to pull. The pullbacks have been bought here, and if this can pull, kind of slow down, show that the selling is exhausted, perhaps, especially better still, if that's at a level that we have marked off in the chart here, that could actually make for some decent entry there. Okay, before I roll through the movers here, I do want to address this because this is actually something that we talked about late last week. Positive Trader here, I love the name, by the way, saying apparently the Netflix purchase of WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, is not a done deal. WBD is popping on the other offer. Yeah, this is exactly what we told you on Friday. We told you that this wasn't a done deal. We reported that there was a possible $30 all-cash offer here, and now Warner Brothers Discovery shares are trading higher after Paramount commenced an all-cash tender offer to acquire all outstanding shares for $30. I believe the last one from Netflix was for $25, and I believe it was an 80 to 85% cash, the rest stock. What do you got for us, 13?
I think it was $27.50 that they were offering for on a per share basis for Warner Brothers. And this is a little something I've been looking into, because there was also a point where the Saudi government was also looking to take make an offer on this as well, because they want to expand their country's portfolio of entertainment offerings. So there, you might still see some more bids come across here. I mean, we've got Netflix already, we've got Paramount. You might see Comcast come in with an offer as well, because Comcast, that's basically Universal Studios. If you've ever been to a Universal Studios, you know that there's Harry Potter there. They've got some of their IP, set up in rides and whatnot. So they have to pay royalties to that. If Comcast acquires WBD, they don't have to do that anymore. So there's each one of these companies that is making an offer has something to gain in some specific way. And it seems like this would help out Comcast or Paramount much more than it would help out Netflix. Not to say that this wouldn't help out Netflix greatly, but I think Paramount and Comcast really, really need this Warner Brothers deal. I think it's more important to them than it is Netflix.
Yeah, I on the surface, I would agree with you too. Jane and Brian here saying, didn't Trump say he was looking into this Netflix deal? Yes. So I guess on Sunday, it was at some ball or some party. He said that there would be a lot. I think the comments had to do with market share. So he said that this would have to go through approval. I think the key here is that this is not yet a done deal. Jay here, love this. I didn't even think to do this, Jay. Shout out to you. Hat tip to you for doing this. Netflix deal. PreMarket has at 20%. Now, Jay, I think I'm reading through this. I think you're saying that PreMarket has the deal going through at 20%. H&H Tactical here saying, my friend's an accountant on the Warner Brothers show. I think that's what you mean, WB show, and said it'll be months before anything is official and the FCC still has to approve. Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, what that means is that if you get these back and forth offers, you're going to see that reflected in the stock price here. This is another example of that. The new offer here today is driving the stock price higher. I got that right. Okay, great, Jay. So this is not done yet. $30. We're currently sitting at $27.37. Whenever we talk about these deals, the difference in the buyout price versus what the stock is currently trading at represents the premium that traders think the deal doesn't get done. There are breakup fees in this deal too. So there's all types of stuff that they're going to have to iron out. I don't think we've seen the end of this. This is why the stock is moving here today.
I think if you want to look at a model of what could happen with this deal, and I don't think it's going to happen exactly because there's multiple bids, but when you look at what happened with the Activision Blizzard deal with the takeover by Microsoft, because that was a massive multi-billion-dollar deal for some entertainment media, you got to look at everything that happened with that, all the regulatory hoops and hurdles and everything that both companies had to go through. It will take some time. That is absolutely true. It's going to be a while before anything gets nailed down. And that was just with one buyer. Nobody else was bidding. You have multiple bidders. So we're probably going to see 2026 before anything gets locked down as a done deal. So absolutely, this is going to be on for a while.
Yeah, and Jay reminding you that took forever. That other deal took forever. JS416 here saying, it's funny, us Netflix subs already got the email welcoming Warner Brothers to the family and what we could expect. Yeah, yikes. I wonder if they're going to have to write a retraction if things change.
Why would they? It's going to pull in more subscribers.
Yeah. A deal this big takes a couple of years. Yeah, indeed. Okay. Good stuff there. We'll see how this saga plays out. Netflix, by the way, I know we're not really talking about that. Netflix closed at $100.24 on Friday. It is currently at $100 exactly here in the pre-market today. Okay. Let's see. Top Wealth, TWG, Top Wealth Group. This is one of those China pumps, isn't it?
It might be. I was seeing a couple of these names that have
supplier of caviar and caviar-based gourmet products.
We've seen this one. We've traded this one. We've seen this one and a whole bunch of others that are on the movers list today. Move on no news or have some really insignificant news that's sending it. This one we've traded before. It tends to move. Let me go back and see if I can figure out when we traded this, because I remember this one kind of was a bit wild at one point.
All right, I'm going to leave this chart up 13. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay, so let's see if we can figure out what happened here. And I don't know if this was, this must have been the last year. Okay, so last year, as soon as September started rolling around, we got a pop toward the middle of it, and then this thing got sent. I mean, the all-time high, and this is split adjusted, the all-time high is 1,215. So last year, this thing went on a massive run, and then I'm assuming they made some kind of offering that just absolutely sank the stock. So then we're down here. This is moving again. They project strong profit growth for this year. Fantastic. Let's see how that is affecting their trading this morning. So we did get a pop on Friday, it looks like. That came back in. And then now we made a new high in the pre-market, 1589. That came back in. So now we have two instances of of the price running up and coming back in after reaching 1350. Now, the first time it couldn't really close over 1350. The second time we did get a couple closes over 1350, but still ended up coming back in underneath the VWAP. 65 EMA does look like it's providing a little bit of support. I'd probably lean on 1025 as an important level of watch for support and resistance. Right now, it's acting as resistance. And if it can recapture that level, then the 65 EMA is next, followed by the VWAP. There's also a bit of a downtrend here if you want to draw a line from the 1598 high through the high we just got about an hour or so ago. That was from 8:15. That's looking like the trend we're going to need to break, but I'm a little bit concerned about this pattern. So if we can't hold above, I would say the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, then if we get more than a few closes beneath that, I think that we're going to want to look at something else, because I think that we're going to go underneath 8 at that point.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown. Can I move on to the next one?
Fine.
Okay. Next one here is going to be FULC. This is Fulcrum Therapeutics. Fulcrum Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company reported initial results from the 20 milligram dose cohort of its phase 1B pioneer trial of, I'll try this one, Pociredir in sickle cell disease, showing a clean dose response and robust fetal hemoglobin induction at week 6. So positive data out of a phase 1B cohort here for one of its drugs. This actually caused us to trade up into a double top just shy of 1650 here in the pre-market. We are doing this on some pretty nice volume. On average, the stock trades about 665,000 shares. In the pre-market alone, it's traded 6 million, float of 37.5 million. Short interest on this name there, significant, but not overly high. 9.52% of the float is shorted on 5.76 days to cover. That's a little bit higher than the percent of float shorted here. Stock is coming back in from that recent test here in the pre-market. This actually sets up a key level without a doubt in the regular session here today. Looks like we've actually lost the VWAP on this move back down. I've got that VWAP at 1412. Stock's currently sitting here at 1350. 13, you got any thought here on FULC?
Well, I don't like the way the chart looks this morning. It seems like 1650 is a real problem for the upside here, and we've hit it twice this morning, and now we're coming off of that level. So that might be a double top here that we're going to see resolved, and we are beelining right for the 65 EMA. Going to have to hold up there and start turning around, or if we lose that, then I fear we could go underneath 12. As far as the stock itself is concerned, with the news, great about the phase 1 pioneer trial. That's just there's going to be some more clinical trials ahead. They're going to be expensive. It looks like the company does have plenty of cash to go on for a while, and they also have short-term investments that are convertible into cash that will help them along. So it doesn't seem like they're going to be needing to raise capital at any time soon, but eventually they will. So only a day trade here. Now I think this one, I don't know how great it's going to be. It's already looking weak going into the open here. That double top in the pre-market just really concerns me. Maybe this is another one we just let this thing find its footing into the open, and then if it provides a setup, then we can take it. But right now, this looks like it's kind of in free fall mode, down to about 13 right now.
Yeah, and actually, it looks like that's kind of accelerated here. That free fall mode, indeed. We'll see if it does find some support there at 13. Okay, list is moving around a little bit on me, but the next one on here is an oldie but a goodie, maybe, question mark. BDRX. This is Biodexa Pharmaceuticals. We've traded this one a whole bunch of times in the past. Stock ran up in the after hours on Friday, popped again here on significant volume here today, although it's retraced about 60% of that move. The last piece of news I have here is a Form DRS, which I haven't gone through. This was from the weekend here. I don't know if you went through this one, 13. No. Confidential treatment request Biodexa.
Looks like they're also planning an offering.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like here. Talking about warrants and pre-funded warrants. Okay, so stock's up 54% on the back of that. I got to think that there's just some trading action going on in a well-known name that we've traded before. 6.28% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, comes on an average volume of 200,000 shares. That's nothing. Things are ghost town most days. Today, though, 9.27 million float here. I've got this as a low float, 619,000. Let me check know the float here real quick. BDRX, Yahoo listed at 1 million float, Dilution Tracker listed as 15 million, and FinViz and Wall Street Journal have nothing for it. Nothing. So this definitely seems like low float. 13, what say you here on BDRX?
Well, didn't go through this one, so I would assume that there's going to be some issues with the cash position. 4 million, and I don't really know how much they do on a quarterly basis. Let's look and see. So yeah, this is the fact that they're looking like they're getting ready to make an offering, and they lose as much money as they do, and they have the cash they have on hand. They can make an offering as early as today. So there's a lot more risk associated with trying to trade this one. If you feel compelled to do that, don't let me stop you. You do what you want to do with your account, and it does look like it's trying to find its footing after the sell-off that it had from earlier this morning when it post run up. It's getting some support from the 750, 745 area where we initially had some resistance back on Friday, and then over the weekend or this morning we broke through that resistance. Now we're testing the support, so we might have a nice setup here. Going into the open, and we could see some higher prints, maybe even a run up to VWAP. I don't know about through, but possibly, most certainly, we could see a run up towards VWAP. But just keep in mind, this company is going to need capital, and they're already talking about doing a capital raise. So don't stick around in this one, I would say, if we're going to be trading it.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. BDRX. All right. The last two on here that I just kind of recognize that I think, well, there's a couple on here. So I'm just going to go through these real quick. 13, was there anything else on this list that you wanted to spend a little bit more time on?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm just going to really quickly go through these. iBio here. This is one that we've traded before. This is spiking on volume right now as we're seeing this. In fact, I actually didn't see if there was news on this before. No fresh news on this. Just seems to be moving. We just talked about these smaller stocks here. Crack trading, the whole 9 yards. Looks like this might be happening with this one as well. 22 million shares in the float on this name. On average, it trades 3 million. Today, it's already traded 8.2. Short interest on iBio, 5.28% with 1 day to cover. So we'll see if that gets juiced here. As far as trading goes, I wouldn't chase this move higher. I'd be waiting for a pullback on this here. I got VWAP at 161. Maybe if it pulls back and holds that. 13, you have anything here for iBio?
This company uses AI to help develop its precision antibodies. So could see maybe that being a theme. Let me look at the chart here. I think we may have traded this one before too. It looks familiar. Don't have any drawings. Oh, maybe I do. We did have traded this before, but probably hasn't been very much. Okay, so we just hit 2. There's a seller in the way at 210. We're trying to chew through him right now. We just did. I don't know where this party ends. I haven't had time to really look at this to get an idea where this party ends. Maybe there's some resistance coming at 250. It seems like if I look to the left, last year we have a bit of sideways consolidation. That's from about 215, right where we're at, until about 325, with about 250, 275 kind of having some back and forth in there as well. So that range we might find ourselves in here going into the open. That what I say that was 215 to 325. That could be a bit of a consolidation range. There's some other levels to look for higher up, but right now that range I just mentioned is what we got to get through first.
Okay, we'll see if we are able to do that. That is iBio here. Okay, next one on the list that I wanted to mention real quick was Jeff Brands. This is because this thing had a disastrous day on Friday. I know it ramped in the pre-market and then it was just disappointing the rest of the day. It's kind of gearing back up here today, but just be careful. Remember what it did last week. It's capable of doing that here again. This is another one that fits into the low float structure that we've been talking about. I don't think there's really anything else to add on this one, 13. And then the last one here was a stock from our list of stocks in focus here today, Confluent. IBM has agreed to acquire the company for $31 per share. Stock's currently at $29.89. I don't think there's a trade here, but that's why you have a huge 30% gap.
Jeff Brands actually has news this morning. They hired a new CEO.
Okay, that should solve things then.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Diane as CEO of KeepZone AI. Okay. All right. Was there anything else on this list that you wanted to take a look at?
Nope.
Okay. Is there any other stock that you would want to take a look at? We've got about 6 minutes till we open. We can do ticker time until then if you'd like.
Yeah. Let's look at some other stuff that folks want to look at.
All right. First stock that I saw on here was Hood. So that's what we'll start with. Here is Robinhood, ticker HOOD. Interesting note here today. 134 is where we're trading here today. We have a 13. I think we both drew these trend lines on here, I would imagine. These look like trend lines that we added together. This bottom trend line that I have here originates back on the Liberation Day low, and it goes through a bunch of other lows here. Robinhood recently lost this, but found support down near 100. Now it looks like we're actually gearing up to maybe even close above the 50-day, which I have at 133.5. And then I have this upward sloping trend line that may act as resistance slightly above it. I've got that here for today. Let's see what value. I've got this at about 137. So that to me would make a key level. We do have another trend line above that at 144. So that might be the range there, but Hood trading up here. Let's take a look at the volume here. So about 500,000 shares here today, but trading up by 1.6%. Marcus said he's got support at 128, 130, 132.5, and resistance at 135, 137.5, and 140. Well, I'll tell you what, that 137.5 is awfully close to the trend line, and the 144, that's semi-close to your high resistance area there. Marcus, I would say all of the levels that you've outlined look pretty good here today, boss.
One thing I like about the 130 level on Wednesday, you had this a pretty good impulse move through that level, and we were holding above it. We closed above the 50-day SMA that day and the following day, but then on Friday, we lost the 50-day SMA, and guess what level it came in to support? 130. And now we're back above the 50-day SMA. So I think that we're maybe looking at some potential sideways price action. I do like 140 as resistance. That seems to be the strongest resistance to the upside right now. So if we can continue closing above the 50-day SMA, I think that 140 resistance might end up falling. But if not, and to your point about this upward trend line, if we can't hold above the 50-day SMA, then we're not going to be able to recapture that trend line, and I think we could go further south.
David Ellison, by the way, Paramount Skydance chairman and CEO, is on CNBC Live. This is apparently an exclusive interview, and he is saying that the number 1 streamer merging with the number 3 streamer is entirely uncompetitive. So I don't think we've seen the last in this one. I know we've kind of talked about this here today. I don't think we've seen the last of this ongoing interview. I would expect that price to be volatile all day long here today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point, because we were just talking about the regulatory hurdles that this merger is going to face. That's a big one, and it's probably going to be the one that maybe potentially kills the deal.
And that's what Trump was hinting at yesterday too, just to tie this all back to what we were looking at there. So, okay, good stuff there on Hood. 3 minutes till we open. Anything else that you folks want to take a look at? GPCR. If this is a penny stock, I am going to be upset. I'm actually not going to be upset, but it's not a penny stock. This is Structure Therapeutics here. This actually is a piece of news. Structure Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company announced top-line data from its ACCESS clinical program of, what is this? Alenagilipron? Alenagilipron, we'll go with that, for the treatment of people living with obesity and or overweight with at least one with at least one weight-related comorbidity. So GPCR here, big gap, up 30% on the back of that data. This actually takes us to the top end of a sideways area that this stock spent December of 2023 till November of 2024, spent an entire year basically in this area. We're at the top end of that range. That's GPCR. You have anything on this 113?
The second stock that's talking about, a weight loss alternative to GLP-1s, or is a GLP-1 themselves. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing this as a theme or a re-emerging theme. But it's just interesting that we're getting, another one of these that has to do with weight loss. And it's probably because, well, maybe not. I mean, this has a 43 million share float. Kind of interesting that we're seeing that. As far as how we can trade this, let's look at the chart here. GPCR. So 49, big resistance area. We are holding above the 45 handle right now. I think 44.5 is looking like Oh, maybe 44 is looking like the support area right now. If we can hold that, we might be able to get another move up that takes us through 47. That's kind of been the resistance area from 47.5 to 49. Is if we can get that volume here into the open, we'll probably push up through that level. But MACD is also indicating that this might roll over. So let's just see what we get out of the open here. If we lose 44, maybe it snaps back real quick. But I think we're going to want to have to hold 44 if we're going to see that breakout move up through 47.50.
Okay, less than 10 seconds, 5 seconds till we open here. Futures did turn around a little bit, but are still holding on to green. We'll see how it goes. Warner Brothers Discovery, ticker WDBD in focus. We are open.
Let's go.
Let's go, folks. Let's have a great week.
New week.
Again.
Wow, iBio really popped up into the open. 242 went up to in the open in the pre-market. Now we're really coming down. We're at the VWAP trying to get our footing, though. Let's see if it turns around. Hood, it's losing some levels here. GPCR, this is pushing through to that 40, towards that 47.50 area. We'll see if it can break through. Looks like WVE also trying to make a move as well. I got some sellers in the way at 325 and 330, 1325 and 1330. I'm sorry.
Okay, iBio coming back in. Where did you guys have a support area for iBio here?
Probably VWAP, I would say.
Okay,
I think what I looked at. Yeah, we just lost it actually.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got it beneath VWAP here. Interestingly enough,
the next one is going to be 175, and it looks like we're hitting that right now. If we lose that, then I think maybe down to 150.
Blessed Trader says, Ryan, I got on Prize Picks yesterday from my buddies at work. Any advice on who to bet on for football? No, sadly I don't. And in fact, I've been on a cold streak the last 2 weeks here. As far as I make those little bets. The last bets these last 2 weeks, I haven't cashed on any of them.
WVE?
They've all been very close, but not great. WVE? Sorry.
WVE is trying to push now. It's trying to make its way back up to 14. 1450 is the pre-market resistance, actually 1454, and we're heading 14 right now. Looks like FULC also trying to make its way back up to VWAP. WVE hitting 14. There's a seller in the way. Through. I pulled back. Looks like TWG just bounced off the 200 EMA on the 5 minute, looking to hit the 65 EMA. If it recaptures that, VWAP's next. BDRX halted to the upside. Sorry.
Path has some continuation here. We talked about UiPath. This is an AI name last week. Looks like we took out 19 here. Let's see if we can get back above 1950. Path looking all right here today. You wanted me to go back to WVE. Here we go. WVE.
WVE trying to get above 1454 is the pre-market high. Looks like FULC having a nice move off the 65 EMA coming up to VWAP.
Yep, FULC.
That might be a resistance area at VWAP, but if it gets, go ahead.
I was just going to say I scalped it up there because I think VWAP might be resistance. Yeah. So we're in and out of that one. That's 1 for 1 there so far.
You hit FULC too?
Yeah. Hit FULC here. That was one that I was looking at there.
CETX.
Sorry, go ahead.
CETX halted to the upside. It moved over the trend line that we drew. Coming up to the 65 EMA as resistance. If it moves above that, VWAP is next.
Okay. Real quick here. There you go, Tara, on CETX. Is he saying Amazon buy yet, Ryan? No. So Amazon 229. So let's actually take a really quick look at Amazon 13. If you have anything moving.
What? GPCR just blasted off through that resistance area I was talking about. 5290 is now the high, and we might be going into a halt here.
I was going to say, I think this is going to halt up there. This still had like 40 million in the float.
Something like that. I don't know. But there we go. Halted. Broke out over
43 million. Yep.
Over that $49 high. Don't know where this is going to go out of the halt. Maybe higher, but hopefully folks paid themselves on the way up with that one. Go ahead, because I'm going to look and see.
Okay.
We got 3 halts right now, folks. 3 halts.
Real quick, Jane scalping onto 790 to 948 there. Really good stuff. Ondus is trading up. We'll take a look at that here in a sec. Izzy was asking about Amazon real quick. Let me go to the daily chart here on Amazon. I know kind of have a bullish view on Amazon going into next year. Here's what the daily chart looks like on Amazon. Izzy, I do like if this holds the 50 here, right? We basically have the 50 and the 100-day stacked on top of each other. We're $1 higher than that level right now. I would think, and this actually corresponds to some of the lows that we were making on Friday here. I would think that if Amazon can hold up here and the market really doesn't come in, you might have another potential move higher here. I'd like this a little bit better down at the 200-day, which is right around 215-ish, just shortly beneath that. Okay, let me go back to the main workspace here. Sorry, I just wanted to go over Amazon really quick.
No problem. Just some girl. We did look at CETX. That was the first one we looked at. We were looking for the break of a trend line. If you draw it from the high in the pre-market 2055 through the high at about 820, that would make it 1242. We just had a move over this trend line, and we're halted right now up near the 65 EMA. We're waiting for this to unhalt, and we want to see a move over the 65 EMA next. We're not sure what we're going to get here first.
Now, Ondus did have some news here today. Obviously, this happened right after the show started, so I haven't been able to go through this news itself.
FULC?
Ondus is continuing to trade higher here. FULC is right at that VWAP there. 1408 is what I have it there in the broker. It's staying just shy of that, although it might go through it. Ondus announces intent to invest up to $11 million in Drone Fight Group to accelerate access to advanced Ukrainian drone technology. That's the news that we have here. It's driving the stock higher by 3.54%. I'd like to see Ondus break above 10. That would be really good. Ondus actually at day highs right now.
Rubric from last week is up this morning. Not a whole lot, but it did have a nice out of the gate rip. Rocket Lab was just over 50. We're losing VWAP. That went up to 5120 out the gate. Rocket Lab was looking nice. I also noticed that somebody was mentioning Redwire. That had a nice move out of the gate as well. Both are polling right now. Let me see what the rest of the space names are doing, because those are the two of the big ones that I like watching.
Tesla pulling right out of the open there. Good stuff. Tesla, I actually am seeing some put flow follow the Tesla price action down towards 444 here. Day lows, looks like this is still carving out a lower level.
Looks like some stocks have just opened back up. CETX, that unhalted, tested the 65 EMA, threw a print or two above it, came back in, we're halted to the downside. TGL still not unhalted yet. WBE still trying to get over the VWAP. Careful with this one. If we can't recapture the VWAP, I think we're going to have a bit of a bearish pattern on our hands. It'll take some time to form, but just keep an eye on what happens to that VWAP. FULC, this is
I was just going to say
moving really nicely. Looking for 15 next. We got to move over the VWAP, so I think 15's a coming.
And we'll see if this trades back down to 14 and hold. That could be possible entry there. This is spread a little bit, which is one of the reasons I was quick on that exit. But right at a support level, I'll take that. Yep.
And Hood, this thing's sinking bigly and probably filling the gap that was created from the move up here in the pre-market. Let me look at a daily chart to see what that gap looks like.
And while you're doing that, I'll go to the daily chart there in a sec. Oklo, which was higher here in the pre-market, basically gave back all of those pre-market gains. We do have a trend line here that's right down at about 103.5, so that might actually be some support there.
So there's not a gap on the daily chart for Hood, but in between Friday's close and the pre-market price action, we do have a gap up that creates a bit of an inside candle for the moment. I don't know where the price is going to end up going, but right now it's looking for some support, and it might be getting it. But I could still see this come down to 132.50 before it gets that big support that reverses the price. GPCR still halted. We're waiting for that to unhalt. That was the big one that moved through 49. Fulcrum Therapeutics is coming back in underneath VWAP.
Right off that VWAP, almost as if we outlined that VWAP was going to act as resistance. FULC.
iBio just blasted off through the VWAP and halted. There's so much to look at today, folks.
CoreWeave, I think several of you have mentioned CoreWeave already. Let me pull that up here. I actually haven't looked at CoreWeave yet here today. By the way, Izzy, bunch of Amazon and NVIDIA calls at the same time there. I actually thought there were more Amazon than NVIDIA right there at first glance.
SMX halted to the downside. This looks, over the past couple of days, this looks like it might be reversing and going lower. So we're going to want to see this hold above 180. If it can't, then I think we're going to be in. I think this could be coming in pretty handily if it does lose that 180 spot.
Looks like I'm having trouble with the CoreWeave chart for some reason. Let me try a refresh. I'll go report that if I still have some trouble with that.
Rake Shreddy mentioning Wheeler. I think this is too. Yeah. So there's Wheeler getting a mention by multiple people. This is up out of the gate, moving towards some of the resistance it was experiencing on Friday. That being in the area of about 650, 660. So we're coming up to the area where this might find some resistance, just based on the price action we were getting on Friday. Keep that in mind. Maybe if we get enough volume, it pushes through that. Could see some 7 prints, maybe a little bit higher, but we are coming to a resistance area in WHLR.
Okay, CoreWeave, $2 billion offering there. That's what's trading lower. I'm not sure what's going on with the actual chart here itself. It looks like my news is still working fine. Yeah. Look UiPath, this is still up by about 5% here today.
Look at just what crack weeks already, or crack trading's already giving us. We have 4 halts still, and it's different halts now. But you have SMX, CETX, TGL, and iBio all halted. And I'm certain there's going to be another one that's going to be halting soon. Look at the rebound in Hood. What a nice reversal that was, but still having trouble recapturing VWAP. GPCR, that unhalted, went higher, and now it's halted again. 63.16. At some point, this is going to come back in, maybe out of the next halt. If that does, there's 2 support levels that I see to the downside. It's going to be VWAP, and it's going to be that 49 handle that was resistance prior to the breakout here in the regular session. Mentioning iron. Is iron strong? Let's take a look. Green candles out of the gate so far, but it's pretty, it seems like it's been illiquid trading, like lots of movement to the north and south. I mean, we opened, kind of traded up a little bit, then had a big old pull down to 44.75 area. That got bought back over VWAP, and there's just been a lot of back and forth. Big resistance up at the 40s, looks like the 45 and a half to 46 area. We're trying to chew through that right now. There it is. We just broke through all the pre-market highs and printing a new high right now. So looking more to the left at February's price action is what I'd be doing next. It seems like 46 still a big resistance area, but it looks a little bit thicker up towards 46.15, 46.20. So if we do manage to get over 46, that area just slightly above 46 is going to have some bigger resistance.
Okay, good stuff there. Sorry, I'm struggling with the chart feed here. I've got it reported, though, so should have this resolved in a sec.
CETX, out of the halt, it pulled down and is back testing the trend line we drew as support. Let's see if it can hold up here. This may still go down even further, but I don't know what's going to happen if we get down to the 200 EMA. We might be able to the price might be able to hold up there and turn around. What we don't want to see is it started closing beneath that, because if that happens, then this thing's probably going to go back to start. Man, Hood is just whipping all around. Be careful if you're trading this one. This is wild.
CETX trying to turn around after that halt. I still wouldn't trust that. That Hood chart actually looks like it might roll lower there. I've got 132 as a possible target there on Hood.
WVE still trying to push higher. There we go. Okay, there it just did. I just need a little bit of encouragement, right? 1478 now the high. Trying to go higher. Looking for 1480. Jeff Brands. Trying to get up to VWAP. FULC after the pull from trying to capture the VWAP and failing. We're trying again here. We'll see if it can get any kind of momentum with that. Nice moves for some of these today. Sell rips, buy dips. Google, Microsoft. That seems to be the strat right now. Hood with a nice series of wicks on the underside. That to me may indicate that we're going to be seeing some more upside if we can start closing above this VWAP here. We'll see what we get next here with this current candle, but to me, it's an indication that buyers are stepping in, trying to keep this thing up. So if this volume can continue, we can still hold above VWAP. If we're going to need to see the 134 level get recaptured, and then I want to see it hold above that.
Hood moving through VWAP as we speak.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still struggling. I'm trying to look at a different chart here and roll through the scanner at the same time.
No worries, I'll just keep talking, telling everybody what I see. Fulcrum still trying to hold above VWAP as we're above it right now. Need to see some more volume in this. We can go higher. It's got a pretty decent setup. Would like it better if the volume was, if there was more of it. But if we can't get some of that volume into this name, we won't hold up above VWAP. Hood still looking pretty good, trying to recapture the 65 EMA. GPCR. Waiting for that to unhalt.
JJ, real quick here. Workhorse shares are trading higher after the company announced a 1-for-12 reverse stock split went into effect. That's what you have here on Workhorse, plus 5.6% right now.
Iran is ripping, and it's only up like 3.5%, but it's still climbing right now.
Hood going back towards the pre-market high there. Looks like the dip buyers are winning that so far on Hood. You were mentioning Iran, right? Did we have any news on Iran? Let's see.
And look at what just happened with Hood there. We got to that 134, and and we even got a little bit higher than that. Actually, we had 134.5. Pulled it back. So this candle, I think, will tell us if we can close above 134, and then 134.50 is going to be the next big area, and then after that, we have some pretty. We get above all the pre-market price action, just a little bit higher than 135. So that's what we want to see next: 134.5, and then 135.
Billy here mentioning Carvana. Carvana dipped. Remember, we had news there that popped to new highs after news on S&P inclusion for Carvana that came on Friday. We're seeing Carvana dip here from its pre-market levels, although it did just recapture the VWAP. 440 seems to be a level there on Carvana. Also, this morning, Bank of America raising the price target to 455. We're only about 24 points away from that. That's what's going on here with Carvana. Let's see if we got the chart feed resolved. Doesn't look like it yet. Hood, they've been messing around with the 50-day for the last few days. Jay, do you think Hood resolves higher or not?
So GPCR hit 64 even, kind of pulling off of that. This is now unhalted. WBE looking a little bit weak here, but trying to hold above VWAP. Lots of these are pulling. Jeff Brands, it's looking like it's trying to set up or gear up for another push to the VWAP. Needs that volume component. Hood backing off. Iron backing off. Lots of pull in this this market right now, folks.
Indeed, including with the SPY, right? So SPY pulled off that opening print. I know we talked about Ondas earlier. $9.59 was your high. This now back down near $9. That's pulling a little. Netflix is sub 100. Looks like the low we had on Netflix was about $96.85. So that $97 handle seems to be supporting it. And your VIX, which we talked about a little bit earlier there, that's climbed here, 1645, your VIX print.
And SMX, that is halted to the downside. We are losing levels in this one. We are probably, I don't know that we're going to go under 100 today, but we're kind of heading in that direction. I'd say 150 is your next really good support area. After that, yeah, you could lose 100. No fresh news on Shug P, but that has been a mover in the past. I remember seeing that ticker. Let's look and see what's going on here. SU Group Holdings. What kind of volume are we looking at here today? Not a whole lot. You could draw a trend line using the after hours high and the pre-market high and kind of give yourself a target to shoot for if the volume takes the price up that
Which
high.
ticker?
This would be SUGP.
SUGP.
Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, then you might see 10, 50, somewhere up in there. If we get the volume that takes us up to to where the trend line's going.
Hey, this is a nice move above VWAP here.
Mm-hmm.
Carvana rolling over to the lows again. Day lows there, 426 on Carvana.
Treasure Global halted to the downside, losing the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. This is not looking good.
That's TGL, correct?
Yep.
TGL.
I think with this move, if you don't get support at, let's say, 38.50, then the next support is going to be down near 29. Looks like there's a. Go ahead.
FULC still ran into it. Boy, that was absolutely the right spot to sell that. VWAP definitely acted as resistance here. We'll see if this can trade back down to 13, which is your 65 EMA on the 5. Maybe it will firm up a little bit there. That's FULC. WVE looks like that popped above 14 and came back in a little bit. What do you have?
I'm just wondering if there's some broader market news that's just pulling everything down. I not seeing anything except maybe some Hassett talking, Truth Social post. I don't think the only thing I saw earlier, and I don't know that this is causing the market to move. I did see that there was a 6.6 magnitude earthquake reported in Japan. Someone here mentioned that in the chat. Japan is also under a tsunami warning following that, evidently. I don't know that that's playing into anything market wise, though. Izzy, Redwire, that's looking nice today. Let me see if there was some actual news on this. This is a pretty good move up for some of the space names today. They got a defense contract last month, but I don't see anything today. So there might be some news coming that hasn't been revealed yet, but no news from this month. Also, this has a pretty good amount of short interest, 17.25%, but only 2.8 days to cover. So not really meeting the days to cover parameter that we like, which is 5. But let's see if it can get over 7. That seems to be the current resistance. As a matter of fact, let me look at the daily chart. What does Redwire look on the daily chart? So yeah, 7, and then the 65 EMA, which is at 763. Sorry.
It's okay. KYMR here. This is another therapeutic company. The stock was $65 last week. It's $95 here today. The shares are trading higher if the company reported its broadened phase 1B trial for one of its drugs activates deep stat 6 degradation across dose groups. This actually moving higher here. This looking like it might make a run at 100. That's KYMR.
So Izzy, this one that you're having me look at, HWH.
Here, I'm going to put this on screen 13 and step away for just 1 sec, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
There's no news associated with the move today, but last week, the company awarded the CEO with 1 million shares, which if you're looking at the shares outstanding, pretty much owns about 1/6 of the company. I don't know how I feel about that news. What does he end up doing with those 1 million shares? Is he gonna sell them, or what's he gonna do with those? I'm a little concerned about that. Let's look at the chart though. HWH. It's trying to recapture the 200 EMA on the daily chart. So I assume the 200 SMA is kind of in the same vicinity. Let me look at the 5-minute here. So had some impulse move on Friday in the after hours. It took this thing all the way up to 349. looking to get back up there as well. It seems to me $3 is the big resistance area. If you look at the price action in the after hours on Friday, there's only one instance where we really closed above $3. Maybe we had a slight close, 301, and then the next close is the one that also printed the 349 high, but no real meaningful closes above $3. So I think $3 is going to be a big resistance area if we get up there. Kevin mentioning Joby, low floor or only floor for pop. Okay, only for pop. Yeah, I mean now this, I don't know. I was looking at the wrong chart. I'm sorry. HWH. No, I was right. $3. It's still a resistance area. And the pop might be over. If it can't hold 225, then it might be over. All right, so Joby asks Kevin. Let's see how that's looking this morning. Not even up 1%. It looks like this thing had a nice sell-off, and then it's just rebounding. So all the way down to what, 15? Let me look at the chart here. All the way down to, looks like just a little bit above 15. And where we rebounded. Now, if you look at what was happening on Thursday last week, 15 was a resistance area that we broke out of. So we were trading up in the morning, out of the open, found some resistance up near 15, came back in. Then as the morning progressed, we broke through 15. And since then, up until just recently, we hadn't been back down in that area. So now we came back down towards 15, tested it as support, and we have rebounded. We're going to want to see a recapture of, I would say we need to see a recapture of 1560. Because if we can't do that, then I think that we may end up going on to lose 15. Hopefully that helps. CTM looking good. This is Chester. Let's take a look at CTM. This doesn't look like it has had a whole lot of volume traded. Maybe that I'm just kind of looking at what's happened in the pre-market where it kind of barcoded, but did get a little bit more out of the gate here. How much has been traded so far today? A little bit more than 1 million. Yeah. Maybe there's some more movement coming with this one, because I see here that it does have some news about it winning a Missile Defense Agency contract to help protect the U.S. from advanced missile threats. So the first thing that I think of when I see this is Golden Dome. So maybe CTM is one that we're going to want to perhaps keep on our radar, do some more due diligence on, find out what this exactly, this multiple missile defense business that they have is about. But I also see that earlier this month and earlier last month, there was a director, Jay Wright, that was selling a lot of these shares, 100,000 in its first tranche, 53,000 is next. Not massive amounts, and it looks like he was doing it all throughout November. So, yeah, I don't know how much weight I would put into the insider selling, but I think this is certainly one to keep on our radar if they're getting a Missile Defense Agency contract to help protect the U.S. from advanced missile threats. I think this is a potential Golden Dome play. All right, let's see here. On having a big pullback. Sorry if I'm skipping some other things. We'll come back to that when Ryan returns. Not seeing. Oh, 1 second. Let me look at my other chart here. So on not having a great morning, trying to find its footing. So you can see that with this drop out of the gate here with on, we're coming down. We're down here at a support area, and this looks like this was a sideways consolidation from the pre-market price action on Thursday. So if we lose that, then the next support area might be down around 46.5.
Sorry, 13. Sorry, 13. I'm back now. Here's your chart for ONON.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of looking at where we had these sideways consolidation areas because this is a pretty ugly drop this morning, but it's going sideways right now. So it seems like around maybe down 47, there's some support. And when I look to the left, that's pretty much where the consolidation was from the pre-market on Thursday. So let's see if it can hold up. GPCR is moving again. It's still going.
I'm going to roll through some of these movers list here, 13.
Go for it.
See if we can find any of them.
Yeah, but it's 67.99 GPCR. This is the halt fest this morning. Who knows where this ends up going? Actually, you know what? Maybe I can figure it out. Maybe there's a dumb level here we need to find.
CP, what was it?
GPCR.
GPCR, thank you.
Maybe 75. Maybe 75. I'm looking to the left. I'm seeing November 2023. I'm seeing 75.02. I'm thinking, maybe 75. It's kind of beelining for it right now.
I tell you what, this impulse move into this flag and this move higher actually looked pretty good. Maybe we'll see the same type of thing. Buying volume still looks great here, GPCR.
Yeah, so I think the next area of resistance, I'd be keeping an eye on 75. It's the only one that I see here. As a matter of fact, I don't have any other data beyond that. 75 is probably it. And maybe it even goes beyond 75. That's always a possibility too. But I think, because I like to, preach, good capital management and safety, maybe 75 is about where you'd probably want to ring the register if you're not already paying yourself on the way up.
iBio here. This is trying to hold at its 15 EMA. Hasn't really shown much strength outside of a couple of pops, and the volume has really turned over to selling volume. Micron up another 4% here today, although this looks like it might pull back a little bit.
SUGP is still holding above its VWAP, and if we get enough volume here, we might get that move that takes us up to 10. It's all going to be volume based at this point for a lot of these names. Yeah, FULC, that's not bad, but that's just sideways right now, and the volume is declining. So I think this and maybe a lot of other names, just be very, very careful for. It wouldn't hurt to sit on your hands if nothing's looking good to you. Maybe there's a setup later on in the afternoon or later on this morning. CETX not looking great, coming all the way down to the 200 EMA. I think this would be the line in the sand for me.
668. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
PGL, just awful.
And that SUGP that you mentioned, that's actually showing wicks above. I know that is trying to grind higher here on its move through the VWAP, but it's starting to show wicks above there.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I'm like, as long as this is holding above VWAP, we're okay. But, if the volume is declining and, we're struggling to recapture levels, like right now we're trying to hit 850, de-risking isn't out of the question.
CETX now through that 667 to the downside. No bueno on that one.
And here we go with GPCR looking for 75. Yep. We might get it here. 73 just printed. We're going higher. 74. Dollar away, folks.
Barat says 0 trades for me. Nothing interesting here this morning. I just had one on FULC so far. Yeah. I'm also trying to be a little bit patient.
And there's 75, and I believe that's new all-time highs. And it looks like it might end up halting here. If we do, nope. They kept running it. I was going to say if they halt it here, now they might end up doing it. If they halt it here, then I don't think I'd want to be in this when they unhalt, because what a parabolic move this has had out of the gate here. Wow, we're going to 76 now. Jeez.
SUGP, that is trying to go above 850 here. Nice little bust above on SUGP. That is rolling higher. So those wicks be damned. They're going higher here. I've got that, 950 looks like that pre-market high, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah. SUGP 978, your pre-market high. Looks like the price is moving towards that.
Yeah. I'll go back to SUGP. I think I had a target for that, but folks are making some great money on GPCR. Let's Be Good rode that. Biff, I think is saying that I don't know if he wrote that or not, but he was pointing out the $75 level that I was talking about as well.
Ooh.
We just blasted past that. We're halted at 76.72. What a fantastic move out of GPCR. Congratulations, everybody that took that.
A lot of call sweeps here for Oracle. They're anywhere between 220 and 235. They all expire in the monthly December contract, so that's December 19th. Man, that was a multi-leg sweep there. Lots of them. That's Oracle, ORCL.
So with Shug P, because I was talking about this one earlier, if you draw a trend line starting from the after hours high through the pre-market high, that gives you a target to shoot for there. And that takes you over 10. You see it.
Yeah, you're talking about this right here. Let me draw it on here so it's easier to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
there's your target.
If we're going to hit that trend line, we're going over 10.
SUGP looking strong right here.
It's got to get through the seller at 9. Big seller in the way.
And Zach here shouting, sell into strength. If I was long from this VWAP trade down at 750, I would absolutely be at minimum lightning here on SUGP into this move. Guys are mentioning Kodak, KODK.
Up almost 6%.
Barry is saying that he's got a $52 target by the end of the year on Kodak. Stock's $9.30 here, Barry. I think that might be a little rich.
What's the thought here that's going to take it up to that price? I know what their business is, and if it's on the chemical side, that'd be very interesting. But I'm just curious what your take is on the news or the catalyst that's going to get us to the $50 print. Is it a good level to enter $400 for an earnings play for Broadcom? Let me look. I don't know that I want to take a position specifically for the earnings. I mean, it might be a good idea, but it comes with risks.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that you're going to have to figure out on your own as well.
Yeah.
WBD here off that impulse moves. This is actually holding and trading sideways above its VWAP on WBD. That actually looks interesting. See if that can hold. Maybe that makes another move towards 30.
Give me 1 second while this Broadcom chart comes up here.
Izzy, you're seeing Ondas calls, huh? I actually was keeping my eye open for that. I saw some small ones earlier, but you're saying $1 million worth of Ondas calls for the 12 calls? Interesting. And I'm obviously still having some trouble here with some of these charts. I'll report that again. Let me see if I can find that, though, Izzy. That's interesting. I do see January Ondas 12 calls here, 2,200 bought in size, but they only spent 132 grand. I say only like it's no big deal there. It's still a pretty big trade, but I don't see the one that you're referring to, unless there were multiple sweeps that made that up. In any case.
Yeah, so for a Broadcom earnings trade, it's a decision you're going to have to squarely make on your own, because the thing that I don't like about wanting to buy a stock that just printed its all-time highs today up here is that I think you have a lot more downside risk than you do upside. And you still have earnings in a few days. It's after the rate decision. So I think, and if it were me, I'm not saying you should do this, but if it were me, I think that I would want to wait until after the rate decision. I just don't, it's hard for me to justify buying it up here after this massive run it's had since the Liberation Day unwind. We just print all-time highs today, and we still have some, macroeconomic potential headwinds coming up. I don't, it doesn't feel right to me. I mean, it might be, you could do options and that might be safer, but I don't know that I'd be going long up here for the earnings print right now. That's just me. All right, what's looking good here? Wow. Okay, well, Shug P, there we go. 950, looking for 10. And this would be fantastic if we end up getting this to work out and hit the trend line.
SUGP, more new highs here. That's above $9.
Yeah, that's it. This is, I mean, it'd be great. It'll be fantastic, actually, if this works out the way we're looking at it working out. At this stage, with the trend line being where it is, and it's always going to be ascending at this point, so our target's going to keep going higher. I personally would be fine with $10, but if we're going to hit the trend line, this is going to be printing close to 11 or over 11.
The HWH, that most recent news I have there was from Deck 1.
Take care, Lion.
Take care of yourself, Lion.
Amanda putting out an options trade there for Broadcom, if that's something you'd like to do instead of just going long for the earnings print. GPCR needs to chill the F out. This thing is about to hit 85.
Bernstein maintains an outperform on strategy and lowered the price target to 450. Current price 180. That's MSTR. Sorry, that seems a little disjointed.
WVE new session highs 1488. This one also maybe a potential uptrend line that we can draw for a target. That would kind of put if this price is going to go up to this trend line, then we're going to 20. Big pull in SUGP down to VWAP. Meanwhile, GPCR just continues to push. I don't know where it's going to go, folks. I would have been out of this already. We're in blue sky territory now. WVE $15 prints, big seller on the way there. Looks like Top Wealth, following its sell-off down to the 200 EMA, it has recaptured that. It is halted the upside at the 65 EMA. VWAP is going to be the next resistance, and we also have the trend line that we drew from the pre-market highs. So that's going to be the next 3 levels to break through there on TWG.
I was wondering if we're going to get any other price target changes here on GPCR. I don't see any of them, but that looking like it's going to take 90 now.
On is gone down to the down to the 46 area in the 46 handle right now. Low from Friday in the pre-market was 46.13. Certainly believe we could get down in that area. We're going through the whole sideways consolidation from the after hours and regular session on Thursday. So we might be in a demand zone here. Not sure, but still could be a little bit more downside to go with on. And GPCR is now at 90, almost 91. It's going to halt again. This is a wild one.
Yeah, it sure is. This is straight up out of the gate too. Multiple legs up in the regular session here.
Yeah. If you look at a 1 hour chart, it's just a single green bar.
Yeah, it's just a one giant green God candle to the upside.
All right. Well, welcome to crack trading, everybody. This is what it looks like. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know which one's going to do it. If they happen. Jeff Brands with an ugly, ugly candle that just took it down to the session low, back down to pretty much where it was going sideways on Friday and in the after hours. That might be the demand zone that turns us around, but it's right back to start for Jeff Brands. Here we go on Shug P. What do you mean?
It sounds like a rapper. Every time you say that, I feel like you're talking about some rap artist.
Like Suge Knight?
Yeah, something very similar. That's what it reminds me of anyway.
So, I mean, it's halted right now underneath the VWAP. So we're going to want to see a recapture of VWAP out of the halt. I don't know what we're going to get. Looks like we're finally getting some backing off from GPCR after it hit 91.88. I don't know if we're going to see our first red candle of the regular session yet. Look at this, all these halts. We had 4 or 5. Okay, well, new session highs for GPCR. All you can do is laugh sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know where this party ends for this one, but when it does end, it's going to be like the cops came.
How many of those parties did you attend when you were younger? Where it was just fall fun and games until the cops show up, and then everyone's scratched like roaches when the lights come on. Too many, he says.
Too many. Looks like we have some reversal halts. CETX went down to 30, reversed, halted to the upside, trying to fill the gap. TGL, same. No, that is what TGL was, halted down to 30. CETX, that went down to our trend line, trying to recapture the 200, halted to the upside.
Anyone think Carvana gets rolling here?
I see what you did there.
I mean, got to do the best we can, right? Mm-hmm. Carvana's really kind of been flirting with its VWAP here. There's a lot of back and forth. A part of me wonders if this just moves to the upside here. Kind of feels like it will.
So Carvana just gapped up over a longer term trend line. Okay, so you have that there then?
Let me go to my bigger chart here, and I'll show you what I have here for Carvana already loaded. Providing it cooperates with me. There we go. Here is the high and the trend line that we had on the upside.
So I could see a situation where, maybe we do close above this trend line today, but at some point we're going to back test this as support. Don't know when that's going to be. Could be tomorrow, maybe even as early as today. But we're going to want to see this trend line hold up, and that means let's not see too many closes, or if we can manage it, no closes beneath 420. Still a chance that this might gap fill to the downside. Look at how extended the RSI is, but I think we are going to get at the very least a back test of this trend line.
The one other thing that you have maybe forming here is a possible island. So we'll see. I've got the low of this new break here, 424.33. So if it holds that area, perhaps we get a floating island type formation where this moves back up to the upside. Let's see what the candle looks like when it closes here today. Carvana here actually struggling with 432 at the moment. Chester here says Carvana will crash soon. I don't trust them.
Oh, I don't either. I agree. It could crash.
Do you know anybody that's actually bought a car from Carvana and how the experience was? I don't know a single person that's actually used the service.
Not personally, but I do see some vehicles that were purchased from Carvana on the road. They have the license plate frames and whatnot.
Yeah. So I just don't like. I want to talk to somebody who's actually used it and kind of like get an idea of how the actual experience was.
And sure, we might be going with GPCR. Finally, a red candle from this movement we've been getting. 94.90 was the high, so just shy of 95 there, and now it's turned around, looking for support on the way down. Which the earliest one probably going to be 75, and then be wet beneath that.
Positive Trader said my niece bought a car from them and said it was a good experience. So the price was good. Delivery happened in a timely fashion. Tenzin saying Carvana's not that innovative. But bro, car vending machines. What are you talking about? Bought a truck through Carvana. I think she was happy with it. Okay, so it seems like pretty good. I personally sold 2 cars to Carvana and the experience was great. Okay, so buying and selling looks like at minimum the experience has been good, at least from the group here.
I went to Japan once and I bought a beer out of a vending machine. I think that was a better experience.
I don't think I've ever got alcohol out of a vending machine before.
I got it all on video, so one day maybe I'll show it to you. WDE, new session highs.
Refrigerated vending machine, I'm assuming.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
H&H Tactical says it's super easy. Oh, I sold one car. Okay, so a lot of you folks seem to have experience with Carvana. That's great. Super good for selling. Okay, interesting. That's good stuff from the group.
WVE, this is making new session highs, 1585. This could be another one of those that moves up to a trend line. You see it? I'm right there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, let me draw it on the chart, though. Sorry, I didn't have it already.
Yeah. So that's that. I don't know. We're gonna go up that high, but it just gives us something to shoot for. Might work, might not. Should P. This thing is now halted to the downside again. So we lost a VWAP, and let's see how high this get. 950. Looks like 950 and change. So support's going to be down at about 7 and 65 EMA. But this is giving all of it back. Looks like red wire is going down as well. What's up?
I was just going to say, how did Jeff Brands end up doing here?
Jeff Brands is trying to turn around after losing the 200 EMA and falling, because this one went pretty much back to where it started.
Yeah.
So it found that demand zone, ended up working out. It's starting to get a lift, but I don't know this is going to be great. I see resistance at 185. So if we can recapture that, then maybe. But that's a supply zone now. 185 to $2. WVE backing off.
Still waiting on that one. Yep.
Well, this WVE, this one, did make new session highs. 1586 is what it is currently, and as long as it holds above VWAP, it may still be able to go higher. Not sure if we're going to end up getting to 20, but we have that trend line that gives us something to shoot for. Maybe it happens later on today, but we don't want to see a loss of VWAP because that means it's just going to either take longer or not happen. I ran with a massive pull after hitting 46.40.
I can bring that up.
This is now trading underneath, down near Friday's lows. So this isn't a very good looking chart. That's going to be support 44. If you look at the price action over the past several days last week, 44 was a resistance area back on, what was the 3rd? Was that Wednesday? Yes. So that was resistance area on the 3rd. Then on the 4th, the Thursday, we broke out of that level. And then on Friday, we back tested 44 as support before we ended up going higher this morning. So I'm thinking 44 is going to be a big support area, which if we lose, then that's likely going to indicate some more bearishness to the downside. I think we want to see 44 hold up. And it's looking concerning to me like it might not. Do I think Rocket Lab moves with ASTS all week as we get closer to launch day? And it's, to be clear, it's ASTS that has the launch, or is it Rocket Lab? I think we were talking about how ASTS has a launch coming up. I think that was some news. I think when it comes to Rocket Lab, though, the rate cuts are certainly going to move a lot of these names. But the big news for Rocket Lab that I think that we want to keep focused on is what happens with their Neutron rocket. That's going to be the big competitor to SpaceX. Now, as far as ASTS's launch, my understanding is that ASTS is using SpaceX to launch their satellites. So I don't think that there's really that's going to move Rocket Lab a whole lot. It may give it a little bit of movement, but I don't think it's going to necessarily move with ASTS. They're kind of, they're in the same, they're space. I get that, but one's a rocket company, the other's providing, satellite service to rural areas. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if we're going to see them move together. I would probably think a little bit, but not a whole lot. If anything, ASTS is going to have a nice squeeze because it's got high short interest with over 4 days to cover.
Yes, SUGP is unhalted here. I had that resume there, 1023.
Okay, so it did on halt, found support down around 715.
Trying to recapture VWAP.
Yeah, and I think that if we can't get some closes above VWAP, then this is going to end up going lower, probably down to around 650. So we'll need to see that. GPCR also unhalted. This is coming down. Let's see. We lost 75, so that was the next support area that I was looking at. VWAP is where it's getting support currently. Amanda, to your question, I think I've seen a lot more of the space names react to developments from SpaceX. So when they have another Starship launch test, which will be the Block 3 version with new orbital launch mount and everything, not sure we're going to get one this year. I think it's slated for January at this stage. That seems to be the real big event that tends to move space docks. It was I think it was the big catalyst that got the space docks going toward the end of last year, because we started catching the booster. And once that happened, then that was pretty much it. Everybody was locked in onto these space names, and we're just waiting for what I think is going to be the next major event with the Starship launches. That's going to be the orbital refueling. That's supposed to happen next year. So space theme could still be very, very well alive and good going into next year with those catalysts coming up. All right. Yeah. Well, street brunch, right, Zach? I got 5 minutes before people start getting some food. Oh, okay. So people with ASTS also own Rocket Lab. What else? What else do they own? I'd be really curious to know what with those, what those folks are also holding. If they're holding ASTS in that company, I mean, maybe it's Iridium, maybe it's Redwire. I'd be curious.
More Ondas calls. These are the 12 calls for January. 1,500 of them bought. Traders spent 127 grand on that. EYPT, remember this one, 13?
Yes, iPoint. Yes,
iPoint. They're getting 15 calls getting bought here for January. All
right. Back up to.
I wonder if that losing trade. The iPoint near 20.
They are. Oh. So they changed their name? That's what the news is today. iPoint Pharmaceuticals announces official name change. Is that, I don't know if that's as of today. No,
what do they say they're changing it to?
So on December 8th, iPoint Incorporated officially changed its name from iPoint Pharmaceuticals, Inc. Okay, so they changed it to iPoint, Inc. It's not iPoint Pharmaceuticals.
Okay, so it's, okay, that's almost nothing.
Wow. What a name change.
What a name change is right.
But yes, this was a fantastic trade. Looks like there's been some insider selling this month. There's still their DuraView program is still ongoing phase 3. What's their cash position like? Okay, so they're burning like around 50 to 60 million a quarter, but they've got a cash runway. Well, we're strictly talking cash. They have a runway of about, a little more than a quarter. But if you look at their short-term investments, then it's more like 3 quarters, maybe 4. All right, let's see here.
Netflix low of the day. Thoughts? Let it keep coming in. Yeah. Let it keep coming in. Netflix, we had a low from Liberation Day at what, 82, almost $83. Let it keep coming in.
Looks like GPCR still getting support from the VWAP. I'm not confident this is going to go back up. It just filled that gap from the gap down, and we're backing off of that. So You trade this if you want to. If it continues to hold VWAP, maybe there's a trade that takes us back up to 95, maybe even to 100. But this thing has been on a massive run. I don't know what's going to happen with it next. My instinct tells me we're probably going to go down.
Your WVE, Wave Life Sciences, still slow grind higher. If we hit that trend line, that would just be something else.
It would be.
I mean, that stock's already up 117%. Just wild stuff on this move.
Yeah, but it also could do the same thing that Shug P does, where it got into a halt, and then out of the halt, it started selling off. So,
or a pull like GPCR saw here today.
Oh man, yeah, GPCR was incredible. I'm glad that some folks ended up catching some movement out from that one. It was just fantastic. Thoughts on NFE? Any thoughts on NFE? New Fortress Energy. Another oil and gas name. This is what do they do exactly here? So this is like a refiner name. Is that what this is? Like a refiner that procures natural gas, liquefies it, ships it.
I'm having so much fun with WVE. Well, that one keeps trading higher. So that makes sense.
Just, raise your stops so you make sure that any gains that you're getting are going to have a floor, NFE with some pretty high short interest. This might actually be the highest its short interest has ever been. I think it is. 34.16% of the float shorted, 2.85 days to cover. That's down from the almost 6 days to cover it had last month. Maybe this is, let me look at the chart here. Maybe this gets going later on here. What's the float like? Float's pretty heavy. So that would be the big thing that that's going to keep this from going on a big run like some of these other movers this morning, is that that large float. Not saying it can't happen, not saying it's impossible. We certainly have seen some large float movers before, but typically that they move really well in the after hours or the pre-market, and then once the regular session opens, they just spend most of their day leaking or going sideways. So NFE, on the energy theme, this might be coming back up. It's certainly trying to turn around and recapture the 50-day SMA. I do like the daily charts price action. So let's just not get ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure that we can see that the price gets back above the 50-day SMA. If that happens, $2 is going to be the next spot we want to see recaptured. If that happens, then 3, then the 200-day SMA, and then a gap fill. But first things first, let's start closing above that 50-day SMA with NFE. Gas storage, okay. Either way, it's in the oil and gas industry, and it's part of that theme that we were talking about earlier this month and last month. Let's just make sure that gets above the 50-day SMA first. That's interesting news. If they just got a $7 billion deal and they were on the verge of bankruptcy, so this could be a majestic turnaround story. But like I said, I want to see some recapture of that 50-day SMA. You look at a daily chart, you can see that particular moving average really, really has messed with the price on the way down here, going back to last year. So look at writing it down from January 2024 all the way to the end of the year. Or got some support down around October, traded above it for a little bit, and then as soon as 2025 started, we resumed this downside here with the 50-day SMA providing that resistance all the way down. We got to recapture the 50-day SMA.
Sorry, still dealing with a chart issue here. It looks like our chart provider is intermittently timing out. So sorry, I've been so tied up on all of that here.
It's okay. We can still talk about how WVE continues to push higher, looking for 17 now. Getting a little bit of sideways price action from CETX. This was the big mover this morning. That was up like over 200%. Now it's under 100%. Top Wealth still hasn't been able to recapture the 65 EMA, but we are trading above the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. If this does recapture the 65 EMA, VWAP's going to be next. And if we get that, I'd be looking towards, maybe $11.80 to $12 as a potential resistance area next. But got to see that recapture the 65 EMA first. Looks like On is trying to slow down the selling and establish some footing. Interestingly, down at the support area we were mentioning earlier. We were looking at the chart. We'll see if it can reverse there down at 46 handle. Disney strong.
I mean, is it? It's still below its 200-day. It's been kind of slowly drifting down. I don't know what kind of good fundamental news it has behind it.
There was something that they were going to start doing, some movie, and I thought, I think there's going to be even more downside ahead. I can't remember what it was though. But looking at this chart, it doesn't look strong to me. I just looking at a daily chart, this doesn't look strong. It looks like it's getting some strength. It's trying to recapture some levels. Right now, it's got to hold above the 20-day SMA. That's the moving average in question right now. But you got a death cross coming. That's probably going to happen tomorrow. And then you got a little bit more of some upside resistance at that point. A little bit more upside, more pressure to the downside. Now, if this does start trading back up, I think 108 would be. Hold on a second. Let me take that back. It seems like somewhere between 108 and 110, there's a spot. I just really can't lock it down with which one I like. It's going to be in that range. I'd say maybe like, let's just say 109. 109. If it gets back above the 20-day SMA, then the next step would be recapture of 109. And I'm just not liking the way this chart is looking right now. It looks like there could still be some more downside ahead.
You've had a kind of a bearish thesis on Disney for a long time that's really played out. It looks like it's still happening.
I would not be saying all this about Disney if that activist ended up taking over. But Bob Iger is still there. I don't think he's leading the company in the best direction right now.
Yeah.
They really need to do something with their IP because, you look at the movies that they've come out with this year. It doesn't seem like there's any originality left in the company. Everything that they've put out has been an adaptation or a remake or a sequel.
It all feels rehashed. Nothing feels fresh at all.
Nope.
FULC, that's actually holding above 14. That's trying to go higher now.
Looks like GPCR is finally becoming mortal again. It's lost its VWAP. It's making its way down to the next area of support, which will probably be around 60, and not even sure if that's going to hold up. I think we may end up seeing 49 pretty soon if 60 doesn't hold up. Yeah, that Tron movie, I didn't even bother watching it. I heard so many bad things about it.
Is this the new one that you're talking about?
Tron Eris, yeah. Didn't hear anything.
No good, huh? No good good reports from that.
I mean, if you just like eye candy, I'm sure it was great, but I heard it was a very, very weak story. It was long and boring. So I'll just have to wait for it to come on streaming. WVE printed 1705 before it backed off a little bit, but we're still climbing with this one.
It's like a slow climb up to the trend line. I'm just like, at this point, I'm just wondering, so when is it actually going to hit the trend line? Because it seems like it's on its way. All right, what else do we have out there? Tesla's still weak, although it is still holding higher than 440s. It looks like maybe that selling is over. We'll see. Apple at the lows of the day, Amazon at the lows of the day, Netflix at the lows of the day. VIX still at 1651. It actually looks like Bitcoin's also weak here. Looks like we might be testing 90,000 to the downside on Bitcoin. Feels like we're moving more to risk off, doesn't it?
A little bit, and
Yeah.
that's probably because in the lead up into the rate decision. Predator Badlands, I don't think that was. I think that was heard that was okay, but it didn't make the numbers it needed in order for it to be, I don't want to say it, a good movie. I want to say like, more on the profitable side. It needs to make between around 205, 210 million, the box office in order just to break even. Remember, you got to understand that when it comes to production costs, that's just to make the movie. It's not to, distribute it, to market it or anything like that. Those costs can balloon the overall cost of the entire film even higher. So Predator Badlands, I think that was it was like 173 million to make, and they're going to need to do at least 210, maybe even closer to 300 million for it to be real profitable. I mean, the movie business it's had a very, very tough year this year, like the worst in 30 years. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I mean, it's
AI.
I'm not big. I'm not big on movies driving revenue right now.
Neither am I.
So,
WVE, maybe we finally take a break and pull back towards the 9 EMA here at 1570. Also, FULC looks like that's trying to break higher and go through 15. Remember, we had 1650 as the pre-market high print. We actually double topped that in the pre-market. That might be a spot if we can keep moving here. FULC.
Big of E's, I think that's a great take. Everything that I've seen Jared Leto in, if he's not the lead, he does pretty well. If he's the lead, it's not worth watching. Morbius, for example. That was a terrible movie. Shug P lost VWAP now. Uh-oh. Where is that? I have to type this in again. There it is. Okay. It lost VWAP a while ago. It lost VWAP, about half an hour ago. We're just waiting for it to find its footing, and that footing might come by the way of the 65 EMA. So we'll see if they can hold up here. I mean, this is pretty much where the demand zone is. If you look at the price action we've had so far in the pre-market and after hours, pretty much from like $6 to $7, that whole dollar range has been the demand zone when the price is above $7. I forgot that was him. I forgot that was him in Fight Club. He got absolutely destroyed in that. Take care, Terry.
Fight Club. That's a good. I haven't watched Fight Club from start to finish in a long time. That might be something to do coming up here. What a great movie.
Yeah, Bob Vitar. That if that happens, not only will Netflix go up, but so will Disney and Comcast. Yeah, the streaming apps will probably do well again. Yeah, see,
we're not doing another COVID.
No, we're not. And Joe, I have a real tough time on whether or not we need to be doing that, where we do new movies but use the same actor's likeness. Now that we have AI that can just put a face on anybody, I don't know how I feel about going forward with that. Here's a good question for you and Ryan and everybody else. With Indiana Jones, since Harrison Ford's probably pretty much done with that, would you like to see a whole new series, a new actor, or would you like to see AI put Indiana Jones' face and have him go on new adventures? What would be more preferable?
Do I have to pick one of those? Because I'd rather have neither.
Yes, you have to pick one of those. Because this is Disney we're talking about, and they're going to try and do it.
Begrudgingly, I would say that I'd want a new actor. I still want to hold off AI as long as I can. I part of me worries that if you create an AI movie and you end up liking that more, then just everything's going to arc that direction. And I really don't want that to happen.
And then you might actually get some good writers getting paid what they should be getting paid. And, budgets could shrink because you're not paying all these actors and computer artists to do all the expensive stuff that they do. It's not Tenzin. It's not that I don't hate Jared Leto. I think he was great in Alexander, but again, he was not the lead. So I don't think he's great as a lead. He's much better as a support.
So this is interesting. Hippo Hero Zero says new series about a young Indiana Jones. See, I almost think that's the way that you should go. If the actor cannot be used anymore, instead of just creating I guess it worked for the James Bond series, but otherwise, like in most cases, like why not tell the history of the character in a different time frame where using a different actor feels natural and doesn't actually feel like a negative?
Okay, so then new question. Is it going to be a movie or TV series?
Gosh, I would almost think that would be a TV series with all of the streaming stuff going on. I would imagine it probably wouldn't even be a movie.
We'll see.
Are you asking me what I would rather see, or are you asking me what I think would happen?
What would you rather see?
I would rather see a movie. Because I feel like the TV series, you're just trying to drag it out as long as possible. A lot of that stuff's going to be filler. It might not be all that great. Just give me the movie. Give me the one shot.
There you go.
Let's be good humans. Says trend is TV series. I totally agree. It seems like that's the route that they would go. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is, because you're probably going to end up losing less doing the TV series way, because we've just talked about how theaters and the box office take and how much it costs to make movies and advertise them and everything, and people just aren't going to movies anymore. Like I was talking to some family from California that go to movies. They say that they're usually the only ones there for new releases. It's so bad. People are just watching movies at home now.
Yeah. Why would you?
It's too expensive. By the time that you actually make an event out of going to a movie, getting the tickets, and if you want to get anything from the concession stand, you're probably approaching 3 figures at that point if it's more than just you and one other person. Yeah. And, we may just end up getting AI content for a very long time.
BDRX, this finally maybe trying to hold and curl off the 200 EMA. Volume is pathetic, though. I would not trust this one. And I really haven't seen anything great in terms of some of like the bigger names here for a potential trade as well. Amazon blew through that low that it made earlier. It's continuing to make new lows here, and Netflix doesn't look like it's done to the downside.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see how anything.
I can see how it does look like BDRX is trying to get its footing and turn around here, but it's going to have to recapture the supply zone that it created in the pre-market now. So that's going to be from about let me see here. That's going to be from about 650 to 7. I want to say 750, 725. And we have to recapture this VWAP that we're headed towards now. So if we get that, then maybe we are turning around here. But if we get rejected, I think we could go on to lose 650.
NVIDIA is trying to bounce here. We did move through the VWAP market, not really following it. NASDAQ still at the lows. SPY may be coming up off the lows, but still right down there near the lows. So I don't know if I trust that bounce yet here. By the way, 684. This represents the pre-market low area that we were on Friday. So we actually are through yesterday's intraday lows. We'll see if we can hold above 684 here today. Close above it, that is.
Nathan with the the big question here. Would you vote for an AI government?
I would not, no.
What about an AI judge?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of AI being in positions of power. I don't know if I like that at all. It should be a human utilizing AI. If you think AI can provide benefit to that, I still think there should be a human link in there. I don't think that should be replaced. I don't think that's a good move.
Yes. AI enabled humans, I think, are what you'd want to vote in. No AI judge, an AI nurse. Well, I mean, I don't want to get off topic here, guys. I mean, we're getting a little bit crazy with the what could be AI, like an AI attorney. Oh, look at that! How about that? Milton Friedman said that the computer could replace the Fed. So an AI pal AI. How about that? I'm not saying we should be getting AI generals. That would certainly accelerate the Judgment Day, Terminator Skynet narrative. Here's the thing: can you ever trust who is programming AI? Can you ever trust who is leading your government? I think that I think we're kind of asking the same question here, but we're just putting ourselves in circles, answering the same question. All right. Anyway, stocks. What are we doing with
good hypothetical thought experiment there? No across the board for me. Pretty simple.
Yeah, but I think that you're going to probably see a lot of the winners of elections being AI enabled. AI enabled politicians. I think they're coming. WVE starting to show a little bit of weakness after hitting 1705. Hasn't been able to hold above 17. Starting to back off. We'll see if this can find its footing here, maybe by way of the 9 EMA, but 16 is going to have to hold up. If that doesn't hold up, then 15 is where VWAP is.
Jay here saying, did you see Yardini's comments this morning? Yes, thinks 2026 going to be okay, but not the Mag 7 names. So we've been talking about that for a while, Jay. I've been mentioning not only Ed's comments specifically, but we've been having that discussion more broadly. And that's also why I keep asking you folks what you think the theme of 2026 is going to be, because even with AI spending and AI proliferating, I still think there are going to be other pockets greater than tech. And I know we've talked a little bit about energy, financials. We've talked about consumer staples before. So I did see his comments. I totally agree with it. Jay, I would answer by saying, what do you think the big sector is going to be in 2026? Where would you allocate money for 2026 sector-wise?
Marcus James is saying that he thinks we're at a key level for Oklo. He thinks it goes up from here. I know Zach's mentioning drones, but I like drones too. Drones, baby, drones. Drones could be good going into next year. Really think energy.
I think they're definitely going to be.
Really think energy as it pertains to batteries is going to be great. I still like the oil and gas sector, but I think you're going to see a lot of infrastructure built out with that. I'm really big on this Gulf Link, the Texas Gulf Link, to be selling our energy. So that's going to be another theme. But those are some of the big ones next year. I know there's going to be some other stuff that we can look at next year, but those are some of the big ones. I think like you said, staples, food. I think is going to be important next year. Because a lot of consumer staples, consumer discretionary got hammered down big time this year. So I'm looking for a return.
Yeah, Sell here saying financials, anything with energy for 2026. I feel pretty good about those. As far as the financials go, I also still like investment banking. Jay, I know you said you think Goldman Sachs is more of a value name earlier. I actually think that might do well in 2026. Brian says going to be with robots.
Yes, robots and all of the different components that goes into robots. So we've been looking at sensors, cameras, actuators.
I like that thing behind the thing angle the most. 13 sensors, actuators, anything that basically goes into robots. I like that a lot.
Yep, the servos, all that stuff.
Zach here saying American LNG might be good if Europe replaces supplying it by the Russians.
Yep.
That might be a year-long theme you could play.
Yep. Yeah, there's going to be some really interesting movement in some of those names next year. I agree.
I would put a call out to the group here. I think for those that are still left here, you folks are probably constantly thinking about the market and investment here. I would say as homework, and not even really homework, think about different themes or different storylines that you think would be good in 2026, and we can kind of have that discussion at the end of the year here. I'd especially like to know how you folks are positioning into the calendar flip. Are you waiting to see the theme take shape in 2026? Are you positioning early ahead of the calendar turn at the end of 2025?
So, one thing that we've been talking about, and it's particularly the case for when we're in happy hour, is we're going to be having, according to the IEA, we're going to be having a major energy glut next year. So energy prices are going to likely come in. That's going to make things a lot cheaper. I think you're going to see, consumer pressures alleviate a little bit from this. And you might, and that's kind of the reason why I think you're going to start seeing some of those consumer discretionary names start doing better, because people will be able to, their dollar might be able to go further, or they might be able to borrow more to buy. So I think with energy coming down, it's going to make things cheaper. It's going to drive more buying, in addition to the rate cuts. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it going into next year.
Zach says, I'll be mostly in cash except for my runners. So you're going to wait and see for 2026. Totally makes sense. Ed thinks home builders and gives LDI as a specific example for 2026.
Well, LDI, that's a mortgage, right? That's Loan Depot.
Yeah.
I don't think they're building homes, but I get what you're saying.
I think he might be giving multiple.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree that I think the mortgage names are going to be ones that certainly keep an eye on, as well as the home builders. I think you're probably going to see the home builders potentially move sooner because they're more affected by short-term rates than mortgages are.
Yeah.
So if it looks like the economy is continuing to weaken and come in, that's going to likely affect the 10-year, in which case that might end up bringing down mortgage prices. So just something to watch for. But I'm positioned for mortgages as well. Absolutely.
Jay says that you sound like Trump, so I'll let you deal with that one. Rocket, I do like Rocket. In fact, I like Rocket more than LDI for sure. Voodoo, good to see you, Voodoo. Resources and mining along with energy plays, so you seem to be on the same theme there. ZV says, I think if rates drop, REITs will do well. We actually had someone talking about different REIT plays as recently as last week in Happy Hour.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious though, Jay, what part were they sounding like Trump when it was talking about energy or we're going to get rates down? I don't know what part you were talking about, but that's funny. All right, let's see. So
I don't really see anything else crazy kicking up there.
No.
I think retail's still good.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on Broadcom. This, it lost 400, and it's making new session lows. Don't know how low it's going to go, but not sure I'd be buying up here for the earnings print yet. Okay.
Take care, Kev.
Take care, Kevin. Looks like TGL is trying to come back. I don't think there's really anything happening right now. You're probably going to see some better opportunities later on after the lunch hour. A lot of things just look like they're really, really low volume and weak, and just
POAI, which this is halted now. This is halted to the downside. That was kind of a rough morning there.
That looks like that doesn't have any liquidity.
Path lost 19, although it's right beneath 19. Man, I tell you what, this peaked higher and looked like it was going to try and go higher, and just no bueno, no follow through at all, and at least not today.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's really any volume been traded in this thing. Session volume, 145,000 shares.
Yeah.
This thing ain't moving.
Jay says probably see the big winners in 2025 like gold miners have a tough 2026. I can see that. Let's Be a Good Human says robotics, quantum computing, power distribution and storage, rare earths, and financials. That's pretty good.
So I agree with a lot of that because we have this current deal on hold with China right now when it comes to rare earths, and been saying for some time, as soon as we get those trade tensions flared up again, that all these critical mineral names and mining names are probably going to end up coming roaring back. We may be getting a hint of that now, but as we approach closer to that the time of expiry, that where we held off, we agreed with China to hold off for a year. As we approach that time, I would expect some of those critical minerals to really start to get elevated if they don't go on a run earlier than that, if trade tensions flare up before that 1 year time.
All right, 13, we are out of time here for today. Monday in the books, or at least so far here. Any closing words for the group?
What a fantastic illiquid morning that we had here. We managed to capture some real winners. Congratulations to everybody that caught GPCR and others. Let's come back here tomorrow. We'll find some more crazy moves, and we'll try to capture some of their movement and make some money. Folks, have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Enjoy the game tonight. See you later.
All right, 13, good stuff as always. As we sign off here, we did lose 684 there on the SPY, so 683.5. Remember, 684, 685, both key support areas here today. Trader Bacon is next. I'm going to send you right over there. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great